Yo, yo, welcome back. Tuesday night boomer stream setup from J-Dog at the in-laws. Is that
Calling it out right away.
that's the boomer cam setup? I just like to set the grounds for what the rest of the night's gonna look like.
Yeah, we're earning our stripes today. Yeah, this is the gritty stream.
You got the books in the background now. I feel like that's the one thing I need to work on is like the true backdrop. I think mine right now is like the corner. You can see Lions football back there. I got some stuff working on. No books though. I gotta start reading books again.
The backdrop is very nice. I do enjoy that. If I had a better camera, I could show it all off. But
all good. But man, we are in July, and I feel like I don't know. I do this thing every stream, and maybe it's just how excited I get for leading up to the NFL season. But man, we are entering the point of time where it is no longer months, but weeks until preseason football. That's like the one disclaimer of the months to weeks transition.
Yeah, until football with the biggest asterisk.
But it's becoming real. Like in terms of like your actual dynasty leagues, like activity, I think obviously rookie drafts, whenever those happen, if they're immediately after the NFL draft, there's huge activity spike. But I do think that come actual training camp, mini camp, there are, all players are in attendance. You start to get reports. People are getting the sleeper notifications on their phone of, injuries and everything. I do think that mid-July leading into preseason football is when dynasty content or activity and content too, but activity really starts picking up. And Justin's all about it. We're getting close. Man, people are going to start looking at their lineups and think that like this lineup is going to start for my dynasty team week 1 in a month, a little over a month.
Yeah, I mean, I think because my wife was talking to me. I was like, "Oh, do you have any plans for the stream?" And I'm like, right now, I kind of don't. Like, I feel like it, especially because NFL news is dry. There's World Cup. There's a bunch of things going on. I'm like, it feels, in a way, it feels like this offseason has been so much more like empty than most off seasons, right? The 2026 class wasn't the most exciting. Then we have World Cup in America, so a ton of, like we had the World Cup 4 years ago, and it was still big, and I wasn't as into Dynasty then, so I didn't have as much of a finger on the pulse. But I feel like this year, especially with all the stuff going on, I'm like, okay, I'm ready for the football news to actually start happening. Like I'm like looking at the notifications of football news, and it's just like, well, whatever the hell's going on with Brandon Ayuk, and we don't have to talk about a certain cornerback on the Lions, but that's still in the headlines a week later. And at least with preseason, we're gonna be like looking into one drive this player put together. Should you pick up this random wide receiver and stash him on your taxi squad? At least there'll be something. But right now, it definitely feels like, oh man, like it's time to sit down, think about your rosters. You might not be able to make those moves now, but at least have a good idea of what your plans are as you kind of move forward with all the things coming up, because it's going to hit hard. I think it's going to be a switch that flips quicker than we're used to.
Yeah.
Just because of all the extra sports and things.
Yeah. And too, I think, it's something that's been, I think, just obviously prevalent over the past couple of years, where there is a big group think, and not even talking about like KeepTradeCut and Dynasty Daddy and the ranking sheets people will look at for dynasty rankings, but I think just like overall like opinions being formed through the content people are consuming. And I think like this part of the season, heading into startup season, heading into redraft rankings being posted, and people having a good finger on the pulse for expectations for the next season, the groupthink is upon us. What's up, Buki? What's up, fellas? No specific trade cues, just a general one. Have had early talks over a T-Law McBride swap where I get McBride. What's general consensus on opportunity costs on elite tight ends in no tight end premium leagues? So assuming super flex for this one. Man, McBride's an interesting one, because if you do like the reception thing last year, there is a couple grains of salt you have to take with the Jacoby Brissett experience the Cardinals got versus expectations for this year with, new scheme, new system. Potentially we'll get Carson back in the weeks that matter. But have you seen enough from McBride to be totally down to do this type of swap, even in a super flex and non-tight end premium?
It is super flex, right?
Yeah. I'm saying pretty confidently as an assumption.
I will say if there's anyone that you would choose from a tight end, it probably would be McBride. But in the super flex, I wouldn't feel terrible because all that would have to happen is McBride to go from tight end 1 to tight end 3, and then he's not super valuable anymore. Then he's just like a Sam Laporta, where it's like rookie year Sam Laporta, tight end 1, amazing rookie year. In these leagues, like you either got to be putting up those crazy numbers every single year. If you fall back at all, you're not going to be super impactful versus, a Kyle Pitts or whatever. So I'll probably lean T-Law, but I don't know. I'm not necessarily in love. And if it's like a 10-team league or something like that, I'm just going to go McBride. Like it needs to be a league that quarterback's hard to get for me to say T-Law. I don't know if I'm buying into that, 8-week stretch where he looked really good. Like, can he do that the whole year? I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that would be my follow-up, Buki, if you have the format, like if we are looking at, I'm not going to assume, 12 teams start 10. It's these and we've talked about it, and I don't want to put everything in the lens of like startup rankings and values and everything and, how you want to approach the offseason, but there's some part about me that thinks about the positional difference that you get with McBride, Bowers. I'll stop there. I won't put Loveland in there yet. But McBride and Bowers, even in non-tight end premium.
In Loveland.
Let me find. I have a non-tight end premium league. It is a 12-team start 9.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I just want to look at I'm going to pull up just like overall production and WAR real quick on that one. Just because I do think it's interesting to talk about. Because we do get a handful of these non-tight end premium questions, which most of the time our answer is a cop-out of, it's not a ton of premium. Like, who cares? But I care about Trey McBride, and I care about Brock Bowers.
It's tough when it's like the big ones, right? Like,
those
even Travis Kelce, prime Travis Kelce, is worth it in a non-tight end premium league. Let's see.
Yeah, I think I got here, but I'm gonna usually being the guy that can pull up I get to pull up the charts. I get to kind of skew how the stream is being viewed and taken in. But let's just do pure points per game just to put it in perspective, right? Obviously QBs. And then you just see the drop off in tight ends versus wide receivers and running backs across the board. The elite ones are still going to be in kind of like the top 5, 10, 15 at the position. But yeah, it's this WAR chart here. Okay, don't mind. It's a 12-team start 9. It's got to have kickers, right? That's the classic dynasty. Shallow league.
Yeah, 12 teams, that's like a default. I downloaded Sleeper and then I just clicked give me any league.
Yeah. But there's like the elite skill position players that you do want to have. And you see Trey McBride up here, like neck and neck in WAR with like Jamar Chase and Amon-Ra. But I do think that WAR just purely last year, like I kind of want to extend this over multiple seasons because I think last year is kind of a little skewed. 1 with McBride, and then I think 2 with like the way Bowers and Kittle's seasons went too. But if we just do it over the past, let's do 5 seasons here.
Sup, Sean? Welcome to the stream. We're watching the chart load.
It's I'm removing the kickers. Yeah, maybe I might be tripping. I'm trying to think of it too, not just in the chart, but like logistically, roster construction wise.
Mhm.
just because there are so many of those 12-team leagues. Like, I just think back to every single trade question where we're in a 12-team and we're like, you've got 3 really good quarterbacks. Try to trade one of them. And then we go through and we find one team and we're like, maybe this team will give you something for your good quarterback. Like, isn't that just the theme of every single live stream ask where somebody has a good quarterback room? And we can never really put
Yeah.
together a good trade with it. So that part is really making me lean towards, can I get the elite, massive contract, stud tight end who's like, yes, non-tight end premium, but PPR. But I
Well,
understand the
that's the
quarterback
hard
thing.
thing because McBride is more of a unicorn, right? Compared to T Law. T Law is the question really is around, is T Law closer to like Jaden Daniels, or is he closer to it like a Jared Goff or Brock Purdy? Because if he's closer to Brock Purdy, then okay, like he's valuable, but he's probably not unicorn valuable.
Mhm.
If that makes sense. Like you like the McBride is the only one that probably matters in tight end. And if he can be that prime Travis Kelce and just keep putting up good weeks all the time, he's going to be worth way more than a Trevor Lawrence even in a super flex league.
Yeah.
Unless Trevor Lawrence is a breaking into borderline Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Mahomes when the offense would actually throw the ball down the field, like those types of quarterbacks.
Yeah. There's man, what's the trade-off mentally I can do here? Like, would you rather have like pure startup? Well, let's do it that way, and then we can move on from me analyzing. Oh, is this my rookie draft? Actually, this rookie draft has not happened yet. Traded away my first round pick in this one. Dude, I always get so dizzy whenever I set these up.
You can also, I know for the multi-year war chart that you have pulled up, if you go to like the top right, you can do the average positional war chart, and that will show you like what is a tight end one from every single year instead of like, oh, what is Trey McBride across the past 5 years?
Right.
Because really, it's like, okay, what is the tight end one worth versus what is the QB 10?
Yeah. All right, this is not going to be the greatest example here, but I'm trying to think about the quarterback, like tight end swaps you would have if you went with either side, right? So like, because you're making this move for McBride, would you rather be showing up to your fantasy playoffs, non-tight end premium, with a Trey McBride and Geno Smith, Aaron Rodgers, something? The dynasty aspect is probably more like a Daniel Jones. So let's do Daniel Jones, Trey McBride, or Trevor Lawrence and like Isaiah Likely or Jake Ferguson. This might just be too wonky of a question. Am I being too wonky for you in the kitchen there? Did we ever have a dual kitchen stream where back when I was in the kitchen, you're in this
No,
kitchen?
I don't think I ever had a
Paths never
dual
crossed.
kitchen stream. That would have been fun though. Missed opportunity. We could have aprons on or something.
All right, I'm gonna undizzy myself from that question, but I do think it is a quarterback market thing where I agree with you. I think in a box, most people would lean, especially what we saw from T-Law. I do trust Cohen, where
yeah, I mean that situation is looking good
for sure. So I do think it's a little bit of I would take the McBride side if I felt confident enough in my ability to I've seen what Daniel Jones goes for in these leagues, or like I've seen what people move, like when Baker has 6 down weeks in a row, what you can get for Baker or something, or like the Goff price is barely a first round pick. Like in that case, I might be more inclined to go after the elite positional player with a T-Law and then just fill out my QB room the other way. Like how cheap is Matthew Stafford year to year, like those types. But I do think in a vacuum, most people would like the T-Law side.
Yeah, I mean, the hard part for me is, I mean, you're kind of buying a little bit high on T-Law, but I just think the ability, and like I say, Laporta is a perfect example. Whereas rookie year Laporta, everyone just was like, signed, sealed, delivered. tight end one for the next 5 years. We know who he is. And then he's been injured. The usage has not always been there. And now he's like tight end 5, which is still good in a league that values tight ends. But if all it takes is, instead of throwing the ball 50 times with Jacoby Brissett, maybe we run the ball 50 times with Jeremiah Love.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, oh crap, like the volume goes down, and so does McBride. And if McBride slips to 2 or 3, even that fall, you're gonna be like, man, I wish I could have gotten T-Law for him. And just like Sean says, right? I'd rather be gross as possible at tight end. Juwan, Henry, Goddard. There's so many guys out there that are just going to be super cheap and just give you some sort of production. And I think a great example would be to go through your teams in your league and just be like, okay, who are they starting at tight end? Who do they have at tight end? If I go and send a 3rd round pick or a 4th round pick to this guy, will they give me Hawk or Juwan or Goddard? Most likely, yes, because they're like, I have 3 of these guys that I feel fine starting.
Yeah.
So that's the hard part. It's like, you have a super valuable piece, but it's only valuable when it's scoring. Like, there's no insulation there.
Yeah. The only last point I will give for the McBride side, and last year is so hard because it is like such a skewed argument to use last year in terms of like fantasy points per game. Like he was around 18 last year, and I guess if you go back to the previous year, Kittle, which is probably closer to what you would imagine. Yeah, like both of them, or all 3, Kittle, McBride, Bowers, were right around 15.5. Kittle had 15.8 PPR points per game. I mean, 15, pushing 16 points per game at the wide receiver position is, I mean, you're locking in. Last year would have been like what Terry McLaurin gave you versus like a 10-ish, which is probably slightly generous for like any tight end. Man, you ever have your computer freeze while you're trying to make a point? A little camera shy.
Hey, I am a software engineer full time. So the amount of times you have to do a demo live, and you're like, I practiced it 4 times, and then all of a sudden you do it live, and you're like, sorry guys, sorry, 50 people on the call, like, decides not to work now. So I unfortunately have been there a few times.
I appreciate that. Hey, it loaded during the stall point though, and then it froze again while I was saying that.
I'm here for that. This stalling out.
All right, to finish the point, we made it, guys. After 8 minutes there. Last year per game, like what Keenan Allen gave you for the Chargers, like Keenan Allen versus what I gave you, Terry McLaurin, wide receiver, tight end, in an individual position spot versus the QB fall off. So that's the last point I'll give for the McBride side. So I do think it is a QB market thing that I would lock in as my final answer versus really leaning T-Law for me. I have so many tight ends I would love to trade. That's true and fair. It's tough because I think it's true on both sides, but I agree that the middle tier of tight end, because like this point right here, I would just say I'd rather be gross as possible tight end in a no tight end premium. I agree after the top 3. So like top 2, like Bowers, McBride for me in Dynasty, even in non-tight end premium, I just treat them as low end wide receiver ones that are slightly more valuable because it is versus the rest of the tight end field, because everybody has to start at tight end. So like that's the one thing that I stick to. If I feel like I can fill up my QB room a better way.
Yeah, I mean, tight end premium, I do care about those tight ends, but like you said, I have so many tight ends I'd love to trade. I think everyone in those non-tight end premium leagues is like, oh man, I have a Hunter Henry. I don't really want to start him. That's the best thing to do, is say, okay, I'm just going to roll out with these guys because at the end of the year, they're tight end 4, they're tight end 7.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine. And I think that's kind of just like, to me, it's like, I don't want to overinvest in a position that just doesn't matter. Like if you paint it a different way It's like, would you trade Trevor Lawrence for the Seattle Seahawks defense? It's like, no, I would never do that. Defenses you just stream. In most non-tight end premium leagues, you can kind of just treat tight end the same way. Even if you catch Colby Parkinson late last year, or whoever the other one are in, Brennan Strange, or whatever the guys on waivers that you pick up, you can get decent tight ends for pretty cheap. And I don't want to be like, especially drafting anyone outside of McBride, Bowers, the top guys. You're not seeing me draft any of those guys until I'm probably not even going to take them until like I have to in most drafts.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Keenan, is he getting picked up by a team? I haven't really heard any Keenan buzz. I think that the toughest thing with these vet guys is it almost makes no sense for them unless the stars make sense and align contract-wise for them to not just wait until as close to the season as possible for getting picked up by a team, not having to go through all the rigmarole of the offseason, getting to kind of work out on their own pace while going through the negotiations and everything. But I've not heard anything.
Yeah, I just see like random like opinion pieces like Jets Wire saying smart veteran signings the Jets could make.
Yeah.
Or
Classic.
Bleacher Report sees Saints as ideal fit. But yeah. I mean, I think it'd be funny if he went back to the Bears just because, but I could also see him just hanging it up. I mean, 34 years. He was still productive last year as well. So he probably got a little bit left, but
I could see.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to. It's hard to want to cut him because you do feel like he'll probably be at least kind of like, I don't know why I'm thinking this, but like a Tyler Boyd, like not like nothing, but not like a solid. Not like someone you're like, oh, I feel like I can lock him in, but maybe like a bye-week flex option.
Yeah, and
so it's hard to want to cut him, but he's decent at least.
And too, like the stuff with Keenan and Diggs too, and Debo to some extent, but a lot of their stuff was like
we got Diggs
pretty good, like per route stuff. So like obviously Keenan was not running a ton of routes for the Chargers, Diggs as well for the Patriots. That was the big thing. I remember midseason being like, man, like I think this might be a little bit of like coming back from the injury, but like dude, once he gets expanded to 80-90% routes for this Drake May team, and it just never happened. But it would not surprise me at all if I hate saying this out loud because I'm praying for the rookie year breakout, but would not surprise me at all, especially through all this Brandon Ayuk drama, if Debo, Diggs, Keenan, one of these guys, Debo back to the Commanders, Diggs to the Commanders, would not surprise me at all, just with their current wide receiver room.
Terry McLaurin and like Stephon Diggs or Keenan would just be so old.
Dang, poor
that
Terry.
would be like the oldest wide receiver room you could imagine.
There's some receivers that like don't deserve the old moniker, and I don't know why. I just feel like Terry doesn't deserve it. And has nothing to do with his current age. It has everything to do with all the quarterbacks.
30.
It's all the quarterbacks he's had to play with.
Imagine being 30. Imagine being 30.
What are we doing for wait, it's July 27th? It's not a Tuesday. My birthday. End of this month, I'm turning 30.
Well, how about Will birthday stream? A 24-hour stream on your birthday.
I'll tell my fam. I'm busy on the internet doing
sorry, I can't celebrate my birthday.
Actually, speaking of something that popped into my mind, if you guys are not signed up for the Dynasty Daddy startup leagues this offseason, get in the Discord, link in the description, fill out a quick Google form in the Join a Daddy League channel, and we will get you in there. $20 buy-in, and we're going to figure out the format is TBD, and that is mostly because I want to get a vote of all the people that are interested in being in the league, what type of leagues they want to be into, and then we can kind of differentiate from that point. So I didn't want to set up like, oh, it's going to be all best ball, it's going to be all 12 by 10 lineup. Want to give you guys a say for the people. We're the people's champs or something.
The IDP only league.
Well, it's the single quarterback.
It's only tight ends with no tight end premium.
12 by 9. Start 3
tight ends.
Start 2 wide receivers.
We'll get Big Diaz on it.
Heck yeah. My first, actually, Buki did have one last to the last point we were talking to. That's where I find myself leaning true. Top tier tight end is very thin. Might want to use Lawrence for running back at the deadline. My season plays out like I think it will. And that's a tough thing too. I do think it almost feels, I think there's a fair conversation and a breaking point cross-positionally for QBs in the T-Law range. I mean, you talk about how shallow leagues you're down to move like Josh Allen sometimes. So to me, like I'm pretty down to at least hear out. I do get the tight end stuff being a little bit of maybe you just bite the bullet, not go after the elite guy, pay the elite price, and kind of use that asset value to, you know, get yourself a James Cook or, you know, running back that's going to be smashing for your lineup week in and week out.
Yeah, I mean, I think in most leagues, I would rather do that. Unless, you know, like, especially for tight end, like, in a non-tight end premium. But if you're even talking 10-team super flex league or something like that, give me running back, wide receiver. You look at all those award charts in those leagues, and it's like, it's because, like, if you just think about it, even just starting, like, a 12-team start too, it's 24 quarterbacks. There's still 8, if I'm doing my math right, 8 backup quarterbacks that are starting, or but would be QB3s on someone's team.
Mm-hmm.
There's still some scarcity there because, like, what happens during bye weeks? There's 4 teams that kind of have to shuffle around. 10 teams Superflex, 20. There's only 20 starting quarterbacks each week in the fantasy league. It just makes all those guys, even like T-Law, be like, okay, I don't really care about T-Law because there's a million Jared Goffs and all this stuff out there. Like that range of QB2s becomes really big outside of like the Josh Allens and such. Yeah. So, I mean, I think the 10-team Superflex leagues, the biggest zag is just don't care about quarterback at all, because I think a lot of people just hear Superflex and they're like, oh, I have to use these Superflex rankings that tell me Josh Allen is super valuable. And it's like, yes, he is really good, but he's not as good in that league because you can probably just make up that production with a platoon of T-Laws and, you know, CJ Strouds and whatever. Like, it's a lot easier to make it up.
Yeah, it's an opportunity cost thing too, where like I was just trying to look back through some of my shallower leagues, and I'm sure we've all seen it where you're checking the waiver wire and there are no running backs that are even handcuffs. But then like every once in a while you're like, Mike Gesicki on waivers, like he's running 70% of the routes for the Cincinnati Bengals. Like you find yourself in that range of like, hey, Noah Fant's, you know, usable for the Saints offense this season or something. Like that happens more often than, you know, oh my gosh.
Oh man, what could have been Noah Fant being usable in fantasy football?
Yeah, the him being in a room with Juwan Johnson and Oscar Delp is just like the final straw for the elite Noah Fant athleticism ever turning into elite fantasy.
Maybe he'll break out. Maybe that's the breakout he needs.
He needs a little push from 2 tight ends.
It's like, I can't lose to a guy named Delp.
No, he can and will.
I just remember I barely knew Juwan. But my wife was like watching TikToks, and he was like making TikToks with his like wife or girlfriend or whatever. And she'd always be like, "Oh, I love Juwan." And I'm like, "Who are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, the Saints player, Juwan."
I didn't know.
And I'm like, "Okay, like." And she's like, "You should pick up Juwan." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, like, yeah, totally." And now I'm like, well, maybe she was in. You know, I was stashing all these Noah Fants, and it turns out Juwan's the one I wanted. Who finished like tight end 8 last year.
Speaking of gross tight ends, Riley, what's good? Punted tight end in my FFPC started up last month, 0.5 tight end premium until the 14th round. Ended up with Goddard, Barner, Tieferg, Schultze, Freiermuth. That's a good stable of, you know, one of these guys or multiple will matter. I think Goddard is a really good value, like for this season specifically, in terms of roster construction. Just because I think, like, best case scenario for Stowers, I don't think he plays the same position as Goddard. Like, I think that's just a lot of, like, you know, maybe more 2 tight end stuff and, you know, more slot type. And, like, the Goddard bump or the A.J. Brown leaving bump is going to Dallas or to, man, you ever have a point and then you just choke it so hard? Okay, let's just the A.J. Brown.
Well, it's like he's trying to get there and just... It's like doing a 3-point turn and you just hit every curb.
I can hit end stream whenever I want. I want everyone to be aware. Not that I'm upset right now, but I think that like somebody needs to everybody needs to be aware of that statement. Okay.
Will's putting me in my place.
No, I'm just locking in. No more Mr. Nice Guy. The bump that Devonta Smith is receiving from AJ Brown leaving, I do not feel is being reciprocated to Dallas Goedert. And I do think that you could do a lot of pattern matching with Dallas Goedert production in non-AJ Brown weeks. And to Sean Mannion versus Petula. I think there's just like a natural, like say what you will about his experience, what he's been with the Packers for 2 years. First time OC, but man, like whatever was cooking last year, I'm down for a new chef.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see. I mean, I think it's hard to draw conclusions from last year's Eagles offense. Like, I like Goddard. I don't necessarily know we're going to see that intense usage like we saw that year, just because there's so many games where it was literally just like snap the ball, look at Goddard, he's covered, throw it out of bounds. That was like the Eagles offense for 3 quarters. There was a lot of like games where it's just Goddard getting a crazy amount of targets and touchdowns and things that just aren't necessarily, it's like the Cardinals with Jacoby Brissett throwing the ball 55 times. It's like, yeah, sure, he got 20 targets, but like, what does that mean when this team is completely broken and just throws the ball 60 times?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I see the Eagles. I do think Stowers will probably play a different role. I'm not too concerned about Goddard. He's obviously going to be, he has chemistry with Hurts to begin with, and I think that's going to be what they're focusing on, not being like, oh, we have to use Stowers first. It's going to be like, we have to make sure Jalen Hurts settles into this new offense, because I know he can be a little bit, not problematic, but like very much like a it's like a flower that's hard to grow. Like you need to make sure that the environment around him is perfectly tuned for him to flourish.
Okay.
And that's so I think they're going to probably lean heavily on Goddard and Smith and try to work in Lemon and Stowers. I don't expect there to be like a Eli Stowers is now Puka Nacua for tight ends because, just hyper fixating on him. But I do expect both of them to be used to some extent. I think if there's going to be any cannibalization, it'll be between Stowers and Lemon, to be honest. Yeah. Stowers kind of play wide receiver too.
Mm-hmm. All right, I got to find. Here we go. What's up, Mike Yard? What's going on, boys? Question for a hard rebuild orphan I picked up. The only 27 first I have is an early 27 first, my own, and a strong contenders, likely very late first. Would you trade the contenders first now for a piece that you think could be flipped for a lesser team's first in season? Or as a rebuilder, just keep the first and not assume the risk of trading it away? Yeah, I don't think I would want. It would have to be, you'd have to be coming to me with this concept with a very good price for a first for a player that isn't going to fall off like in the next year or two. Just because I think it's a little bit risky to kind of count the chickens. Like, is this a super team first we're talking about, or just a general contender? Because if it's a general contender first, I've had many a times I've been a general contender, locking myself into a bye, and I'm barely making it into the playoffs, and I lose in the first round. Like, that's just fantasy. So
yeah, I mean, like, oh, sick, they made the playoffs, and then they lose, and you thought they were good. They were the 3 seed, and you end up with the 107 because they lost first round.
Yeah, I believe. Man, you ever gonna butcher a stat? If I'm ever gonna butcher a stat, I will at least tell you that it is like partially made up, and there's 20% variance with what I'm gonna tell you. But I believe that there was a study.
Oh, here we go. Science, Will.
And it was across, like, I want to say it was Dynasty specific. All right. A couple of setups before I butcher a stat. And I think less than 50% of championships were won by 1 and 2 seeds combined. So both teams with a bye. So that meant 3, 4, 5, 6. It was like 50-50 if you were a first or second seed. One of those two winnings versus the 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that's like a full game that you get free. So I would not lock in your contending first into, the 112, 111. Like that thing could be the 107 in a class people are pumped and strong about, and that's still a playoff team. So I'm definitely not pushing myself to go the other way. Now, if this question was, hey, I've got a really strong team, I've got a for sure contenders first, can I move this for, and it's like a trade deal for you to like get an elite tight end? Yeah, go for it. Like move that contender first right now. I'm down for that.
Yeah, be like, oh, a first for neighbors or something, like someone's panic selling or something. Like, sure. But yeah, I mean, I do agree, especially in 2027, those picks are going to be very coveted. Especially week 7, week 8, that team that is a contender might be one of the wild card teams. And now you're like, oh, thank goodness I didn't trade that. Because ultimately, like if you're like, ooh, I should trade that first for Marvin Harrison Jr. or Brian Thomas Jr., one of these, we've seen flashes, but also hasn't been consistent, so the value is a little bit more doable. But what happens if you trade for Travion Henderson and he does what he did last year? And you're like, well, there was some good, but then I also started him 5 weeks and he got me 0 points. Like, I would much rather just take the shot on the potential of getting like a 107, maybe even the 106 if the team misses the playoffs, and lock in the most hyped draft class. And then maybe a contending team that's all in with our new contender tiers is all in and misses the playoffs. It's like, oh, I'll sell these players because I don't have a pick. I'll give you a good premium because I just need to start looking for that next window. I'm not trying to get off of that first right now. Unless if it's a super team. But even then, I think, like you said, we can put tiers on it. You can run simulations. It doesn't matter, frankly, what website you use, what algorithm you use. It's basically a 50-50. If you look across the league, it's basically a 50-50 in those playoff matchups. Because you never know. You can have all the models in the world. You do not know that Derrick Henry is going to drop 45 points in week 16 and crush all your dreams. Or Travis A-Chain now is going to average 30 points for the first 2 weeks, and then for the finals, put up 3 points. Like, fantasy football is crazy with small sample sizes. It's kind of like the World Cup, right? It's the World Cup where, soccer's so low scoring. All it takes is one dumb mistake or one crazy play, and if they score, that means so much. But even if you make good plays, if you don't score, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, right? You can have a team that has a possession 80% of the time, but just because they don't score, one crazy, your goalie runs up into the center of the field and for some reason tries to kick it, but then doesn't, and then they steal the ball and then they just get a wide open shot. Not saying I watched that happen last night, but all it takes is one simple mistake, and that's very much what fantasy football is. You could start Travion Henderson, he drops 0 points in the playoffs. It's like, well, you could have a perfect super team, but because you made that decision, it's over. And that's why it's fun. But it's also I'm not going to overanalyze and say, oh, this pick is going to be locked into the 111. We don't really even know that.
Yeah. And, we got soccer's a game, very fine margins, subtle reference. Honestly, not even talking about the one game we don't want to talk about. The World Cup's been pretty sick, dude. These games have been nuts.
The World Cup's been awesome, man.
I don't know if you guys watched that Argentina game today. That was, and I already would have said that this World Cup has been insane before that game. And that game was insane.
I'm not even a big Premier League guy or anything like that. I'm always I want to, but then I have a hard time getting into sports.
Yeah. As
an adult, I'm just I like football. I have my teams. Do I just pick a random team? Do I just be I'm gonna be a Man U fan and just decide to cheer? I'm I can't. It's different when I grew up and it's
right.
It's Jeremy, we are going to church, but everyone's wearing a Panther jersey, and we're coming home and we're watching, Jake Delhomme and Steve Smith shred the Buccaneers. And I'm when you're raised with it, it's a little bit different than being oh, I'm 30, I'm gonna just, choose a freaking Manchester City and just go with them, I guess. Like, it's hard for me to get into
You
other
would.
sports I didn't grow
You
up
would
with.
pick Man City. Classic. I did that.
Arsenal.
I picked the Spurs because they felt like this was like 5-6 seasons ago, and I
Yeah.
have not watched any Premier League at all basically. And they almost got relegated apparently, and I say apparently because I didn't know until my buddy told me.
I did. I lived with some of my friends who are big soccer fans, and I was like, "Oh, I'll pick a team," and then I never watched a game. It's just,
World Cup is sick though. Every 4 years, I'll
World
get
Cup's
really
awesome.
I'll get really into soccer.
Well, World Cup works because it's also like I know the countries, so it's like, oh, I can kind of cheer.
True.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, like, I'm like, I like this country. I don't like this country. Like, I can kind of cheer for things, and I know I think the stakes are crazy. Like the Mexico England game,
Yeah.
which just got crazy, but like the stadium, I was like, I don't know if I've ever seen an atmosphere like that. Like, I think college football, there's some amazing Premier Leagues, but like Mexico World Cup, round 16, I'm surprised the English team even made it out of there. Like, that was just like a true test. And that was just fun to see, like the intensity of that. And I love the intensity of the World Cup.
Yeah. I'm this is peaking. Okay, so a couple things.
Man, subtle chip.
Well, to be fair, I didn't even start. Actually, the main reason this is the last Premier League note you'll get from the stream for the rest. That's the promise I'll make to you guys. My friend's he's been a Man City fan for a long time. This was 6 or 7 years ago probably, and I said, hey, I want to get into soccer. I'm going to pick a Premier League club. Who should I pick? I'm not just going to pick Man City. I'm not going to pick, whoever like won last year or has, consistently been a top 3 team. I want like a good team.
Or Man United, the Cowboys of the Premier League.
Yeah, I want a team that's like a club, sorry. I want a club that's, kind of in the top 10, but, could have a chance, has some fun players. And he was like, and I said, what about the Spurs? Like I play FIFA. Like I've got Son on my team. I know Harry Kane. And he's like, do not pick the Spurs. And I was like, no, I want to. And they played Man City, and they were projected to get smacked that year. And it was like the first game of the season, and they beat them. And I was like, yeah, I'm a Spurs fan. Let's go get wrecked.
You're like born and raised.
And then I never watched a game, especially out of the mud with Arsenal. Not too early to hop on this train. I need one player that that I think is really cool, and that was Son for me. So, and then Son is no longer.
You do
on
need
the
like
Spurs.
the player.
Yeah.
That's how I get into the NBA. So you're like, oh, I want to see LeBron. I want to see Wemby. I want to see, like Steph Curry. Like a Steph Curry heater still just like feels right when he's just shooting the ball all over. And like that, the playing game with the Clippers, that was one of my favorite games all year. And it's just like him falling into stands and draining a 3, asking if it went in. Like I need some cool stuff. I don't know if I appreciate all the cool stuff. Also, this is like old man yelling at clouds, but when will we like have a stopwatch? Like we can stop the clock for drinking water.
Oh, yeah.
That to me, that's my one thing. I know like the meme is like casual person watches 5 soccer games in 4 years. And I'm just like, man, like we can stop the clock here and not just be like, maybe there's 7 minutes left.
My least favorite part about watching soccer, and I basically have every World Cup game on when they're on, is my wife will ask me questions, and I will answer them, and then she keeps asking me questions. And not that I don't love answering my wife's questions, but I don't know enough about soccer to accurately answer them, and she can tell. And so she's like, "No, are you making this up right now?" And I'm like, "No, I'm 80% sure that this is how this works. I just don't know the sport."
My wife will do that too, but she always like tries to break the rules. She'll always be like, so if it touches right here.
She's a schemer.
Yeah, like she's always like she does it in football too. It's like if I take the ball and run backwards and then throw it, I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, you need to,
I did learn a lot about red cards.
Talk to the ref or something.
About the red card VAR system and the appeal system. I learned a lot about that over the weekend in preparation for how much I could complain about what was going to happen in the U.S. R.I.P.
I do love how fast the reviews are too.
Yeah.
Like you don't have like the NBA where it's like the last 5 minutes of an NBA game is half of its refs huddling over a monitor.
Yeah. All right. We have are we taking Rashee Rice in the early 5th or avoiding completely? And I've got.
Can I say there's other options. There's other options to I have to take him in the early 5th or ignore him forever.
Rice is interesting though because I do think in terms of if I got a full 17 healthy games from all these players, I'm probably taking Rice or AJ Brown in this 5th round range with Ladd. I mean, obviously you got some rookies here in the Dynasty. Tyson, AJ Brown, Luther Burden, Rome, Rice, Devonta Smith, anyone in the 6th round. And honestly, some of these 4th round guys. Garrett Wilson, Olave. That's the one thing.
You take Rice over Garrett Wilson?
I'm giving the precedent of if I get a healthy, just in production for this year, I get a healthy full season from everyone here, which I don't think you can 100% assume. I'm taking Rice over Wilson pretty easily. Now
I don't think I'm doing that. I don't think I'm doing that.
The health part is the I'm getting a Infinity Stone.
I'm not even talking about the health part, man. He just got out of jail.
Yeah, and he's healthy. in this imagination,
he's been rehabbing in jail.
Are you gonna? I don't know. I mean, are you gonna make me click on the Rice thing?
I think Rice is like. I mean, are you taking Zay Flowers or Rashee Rice?
Well, you're talking to the Flowers guy. I'm taking Flowers.
Flowers is a whole round behind.
I'm actually pretty excited for Flowers this year, and I will say, actually, it's pretty interesting because I was about to click on another Jeffrey Jacobs one. Draft Rice in the 5th round, and laugh at your league mates. I do talk about it all the time, where it's these like controversial, questionable players. Like you don't always have to be pushing for, like, getting the 110% win. But you're risking a 80, 70%, 60% loss with players. And that's like how I've kind of handled Travion, where it's like I see the upside. I see the, if he were to ever claim the, he gets 18 carries and 5 receptions a game, like he's smashing. But to me, it's like the price that you have to take him at in startups and in trades, like I am just going elsewhere at the running back position with how I build out my teams. So I think you can do the same kind of thing for Rice. So like how you're on the clock here. You have the full 4th and 5th round available to you at the wide receiver spot. How many guys are you taking over Rice in a startup?
Just wide receivers?
Just receivers.
I mean, I feel like McConkey, I feel like Burden, AJ Brown, Tyson, I probably would. Probably go Devonta. Like I trust him to actually just be available. Rome, I don't know. Lemon, potentially. I feel like just rookie upside. There's more of a potential for that to be a big swing in value. And then I can do something with that. Think of Igbuka. If Lemon has 3 good weeks, that's going to be way higher than Rashee Rice, who will always have this stink on him. But I will say, I don't think it's crazy. Like I would take Zay over him. I think, like T. Higgins, maybe. I think he's properly valued, but in the early 5th, I just listed off a bunch of names of guys I like.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, I look at running back here, and I'm like, this is kind of the last meaningful running back that has some sort of locked-in role until I go into guys that have some sort of question mark, right? Like you could get like a Chase Brown, like Barkley, even Henderson, which is like questionable, but like Kyron Williams, like, I think that to me is like the scarcity is more important there because sure, I might not get Rasheed Rice, but I might get Zay Flowers next round. And now I'll be like, okay, cool. Like they fill the exact same role. If I don't get Chase Brown or Saquon Barkley, am I going to be able to feel as good rolling with, like old players like a Javonte Williams or a Bucky Irving or a Cam Scatterbo? Like you can feel all right, but it's not as there's not as much upside from that position. Whereas like wide receiver, I think there's just a big range of guys I'd feel okay with.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, I'd even feel fine with like Christian Watson in the 8th round. Like that feels pretty decent to me. Like there's just so many good wide receivers that you feel all right with. I don't know if I want to take an early 5th. Now, if it's a later 5th and some of those other scarce positions are dried up, yeah, I don't mind. Like I think Rasheed Rice is a 5th round pick. And if you're like, I want a wide receiver, this is what I'm going to invest in. Even in the early, if you're like, I prefer him over AJ Brown and Burden, sure. Like I can see that. But as someone that has a few Rasheed Rices, it's a rough one, right? You just hope he even can just see the field.
Okay. I'm about to drop.
No, here we go.
Jeremy, this is not a site recommendation, okay? I do not want you to take what I am saying and try to figure out a way to equate this out. All I want to know is if anyone in the chat thinks that this is an interesting idea or concept. This would be just somebody like ask Claude to do this or something. It is a rankings that are factoring in, maybe not even rankings, but something where it is trying to equate and calculate out different aspects that turn into a player's dynasty value in the streets. Now play with me. And okay, before I even start this, shout out to Jeremy. You're whipping out the Microsoft Paint type beat on the solo stream. That was impressive. That is like
you like that?
That's like you've been live streaming for 10 years type of thing. Having the confidence to whip out the Microsoft Paint. Am I gonna do it? Let's do it real quick. Just because
the MS Paint needs to make an appearance. That's.
I'll be less weird after this. Okay. So actually, wait.
Are we sure about that?
wait. What if I could do?
Let Will cook.
All right. Here's the idea, and honestly, this is probably like not worth the trouble for me to put this all together. But I just kind of want to show. All right, you got Rice here, okay? And maybe this isn't even a ranking sheet, and maybe it's like one of those diagram things, like the hexagon. Okay. I haven't done a Microsoft Paint practice run in a minute, guys. Let me thicken this brush real quick. I know how to do that. All right, ready? So I'm gonna
be like De'Aaron Fox in the finals. Just lights too bright.
I'm gonna make a quick hexagon. 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't matter how many sides this is. All right, and then this is. Wait, how do you type text in? Here we go. This is like current production.
This is graphic design is my passion.
Okay, and I know I asked. Let me know if you guys think this is interesting. Don't let me know yet. Give me a minute before you answer it. Is this interesting or not? Okay, so you've got current production. Okay, I don't know why that's blocked off, but current production up here. This would be like future production, expectation. So this is some hopium. Okay.
I love the subtitle chip.
Some
MS
like
Paint to break down fantasy risk assessment. Peak July fantasy football.
Some stability. Okay, this is stability is probably mixed black market. Whoa, black marble. I'm talking like Chris Olave concussion. This guy's going to 0 and is meaningless for my fantasy. Like black marble risk. Okay, how do I edit text once I created? I made too many squares. Give me another hexagon point. You see what I'm trying to point to? Where it's like dynasty rankings. I think people are considering all these aspects, right? And I think like Rice is a pretty good representation of that. Where you would imagine this right here is pretty large. Like expectations for current production. And maybe I'm a little bit too hyped on like what we've seen from Healthy Rice in terms of like how good he is as a player. I think like that's been the big thing for a lot of people is he's not seen in the same tier as like Drake London as a talent or, you know, even Chris Olave, but the production has matched and exceeded those guys per game. This one's you probably get some injury risk like for a full season, what you expect to get out of these guys.
I think I'll give you the other one. It'd probably be like, like college profile / like draft capital. Like that's also, I think those are probably the biggest 6 factors. And like stability is like a lot too with like the coaching situation, contract, things like that.
Yeah.
Because I think, for example, Trevor Lawrence with Urban Meyer, Trevor Lawrence with, Liam Cohen, very different situation. In that situation alone, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. You could put C.J. Stroud in there. You could put Bryce Young. It doesn't matter. Everyone's going to feel better about whatever quarterback's in that offense.
Yeah. I think injury risk is pretty high.
I'm loving this. This is
profile. I mean, you had an SMU guy who went early second NFL draft, and then here is
colored in.
Here is kind of like the interesting, like the future production expectation, hopium, and stability are kind of go together a little bit. Okay, stability should not be that high. Future production
filling this in is about to be incredible. What
stability?
WTF is this?
Okay. All right. So Jeremy, if you could just take this one's all done.
This is pure Lucy.
This is done. This is approved. Cooking. Put this in the database and then just recreate. Say like using this formula, please, Claude. Put this out for every single player in fantasy. Okay. But do you guys see what
this is the new player page? It's gonna be Will's schizophrenic drawings.
Do you see what I'm trying to get at? And don't worry about how one of these is colored in and the other ones aren't. Do you see what I'm trying to do here?
Oh, he discovered the paint bucket.
I couldn't find it. This doesn't look like the paint bucket I'm used to. This guy up here.
It does have a weird outline.
Well, I can't even get to it. All right, it's not worth it, guys. All right, I will end on this. Okay, this game is a banger. Have you played any Mecha Chameleon? You know what I'm talking about? The like hide. It's like prop hunt, but you're hiding and painting the character.
No, I heard of.
You'd like it.
I only heard of it because I read something about like Roblox has like 100 copies of it. People would talk about how Roblox has copies all the games, but yeah, next is Ayuk. We got to do the Ayuk one.
Oh, dude, that thing is the Ayuk one is. It is just this is Brandon Ayuk. All right, I need to get this off before somebody clicks on this.
I don't know. I don't think his future. Oh
I started looking real bad. Nobody show Rasheed Rice that.
My gosh. I mean, I've thought about it. I mean, I think the biggest thing to me is like, I think you have to make it like reproducible.
And it changes fast.
Like, what is the stability score? And then also, how does it relate to future production? It's kind of like, like when people build those like profile, like the models and like JJ or whoever makes those like player profile models, like a lot of it is like finding strong correlation between certain things, and then it becomes like, okay, how do you break out stability? Is it contract? Is it coaching? Is it offensive coordinator? Is it just general coaching? Like, there's so many different factors. Is it quarterback play? What about if you are the quarterback? Like, certain things like that. And then it's like stability is different for each player. If you are the backup quarterback of Patrick Mahomes, you probably don't have a ton of stability in the sense of like, you are Jared Goff in the Lions.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think the most interesting part to me is like, is there a way to track like stability? Because I think we kind of know who's going to score points. We know what they've done in the past. We're like, oh, this is a first round player. We know the profiles. a lot of it to me, I'm just interested in the stability of like, can you actually sit here and say, oh, this is a Ben Johnson offense, so I want to be able to invest in that. And then when a situation turns over, when do we know to invest in that situation?
Yeah.
Right. Like an example would be like D'Amico Ryans taking over the Texans. Everyone was like, oh, this sucks. Like, this is going to be awful. And on top of it, it's a defensive minded coach. Like, avoid for fantasy. And rookie year Shroud looked in amazing. Nico Collins has been amazing ever since. Like, that situation hasn't been completely terrible and certainly turned around, and you could have gotten a huge discount on the key pieces in that offense. And that to me is like something I'm interested in. Like, it's kind of like how we talk about the Chargers every single year. It's like, oh, it's the Chargers year. This year's the Chargers year. But even now, it's like McDaniels and like Herbert. There's so much. Like, how do you know before for some of those growth situations where you're like, I don't really know how the Cardinals will play out.
Right.
Like how do I know if that's an offense I want to invest in? Or is it just kind of like vibes based? Because like right now it's kind of all vibes based, but it's like, how do you like quantify the vibes in a meaningful way?
Can I tell you something right now? I'm going to say 90% of the trades that happen in your dynasty leagues are mostly vibes based. That's then I'm working backwards into like, I think what we are doing here on the show. What are we all trying to do, guys? Like, we're all trying to improve our dynasty teams.
This is a science, man. This is a science.
The science class is in session. We are all trying to improve our dynasty teams and, construct our rosters the best way, depending on the league format, the scoring and everything. And I do think that one piece of the puzzle too is like that whole perception of a player is like how I would quantify that chart. And it is like those like perception of, and that's the thing too. Okay, I deleted the Microsoft Paint. But if I were to go back to, dang it, I'll have to recreate that tonight. I'll send it to you.
Well, hey, you can screenshot the snipping tool of the live stream.
Perfect. Thank God this is documented. No, but that is all. It is like each of those segments wasn't I am confident in this thing. Like, here's his current production. It is the perception of his current production to people. It is the perception of what the future production will look like. The perception of the stability for the team, the contract, all those things being factored into the perception of the black marble, going to zero. Like, think back to Chris Olave's price, 2 years ago when he was like on his third concussion.
Started last year.
Yeah, he was on like the third concussion, and his brother's tweeting, Derek Carr's gonna kill my brother. I don't think that was the exact tweet, but it was something like that.
I was at the one game in Carolina where he got concussed. It was scary.
Yeah. But I just think that is, I think at the end of the day, and maybe it's the philosophy minor in me, but I am really always trying to get into the brains of the league mates. Not just in like I'm trying to trick you in the trades.
Not the philosophy minor.
but like getting to like the actual practice. You are week 1 has wrapped up. You are in your dynasty league. What is every person thinking right now? Not only when they look at the players on their team, but when they hear the name like Chase Brown dynasty value, they hear that phrase. Like, where does their brain go? How do they think about Chase Brown in each of those? How do they think of Rashee Rice? How do they think of Zay Flowers? Like, all these different players. And then how can you take advantage of that alongside all of the other dynasty aspects of, constructing your roster the right way for the scoring. Yeah. All right. That was definitely a start of July offseason.
That was an all-timer.
Concept.
I mean,
I just got jealous that you whipped out the Microsoft Paint. I definitely used to be a big Paint guy. I wanted to have one Microsoft Paint stream moment that I could look back on
I know. I don't control the screen usually, so I'll save the art for you.
And this is okay. I'm gonna go back to this one.
Streams.
Yeah, thank you. I see this startup question. I know there was a couple startup notes, so I'm actually gonna circle back and we'll come back to this new startup next week for me. Do you guys have more fun being a competitor or rebuilding? I've never played from behind and know some people enjoy it more than being dominant. What are your takes? And I'm actually going to pause that. I'm going to ask the same question, but by reading a couple chats that I saw earlier. Except that the thing keeps going. All right. So it was. It keeps. Okay, you guys don't care about my complaint. There was one message that was asking about a new league in a startup. Okay, in a startup. Do you lean win now or 1 year punt? And I have been a big 1 year punt proponent. I do think that this offseason will be the hardest in recent years, just because I think the majority of your league mates, if they like follow Dynasty content in some capacity, believe that the 2027 class is extremely strong and that 2027 firsts hold a lot of weight. You should be very cautious moving them in a startup. So all that to say, that is why I do like the 1 year punt in a startup, because I do think it is the easiest way to acquire first round picks, is being able to trade back in ranges, moving back from the 4th round to the 8th round, and you get a first round pick. And you get to look at, okay, I basically just traded, KC. I got KC in a first for, Chris Olave or something. And it's like you get to kind of, play the game and build out the rest of your roster that way. And you're not worried about competing year one, and you're getting to tank your own pick straight from the jump. Like, you already are leaving the startup, constructing your roster in a way that is being built out perfectly to punt year one. So I do like that. But you're a keep your first close to your vest in the startup guy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to really trade up much, and if I do trade up, it would be kind of like, oh, can I go up 4 spots because Jeremiah Love fell a little bit, and I want to move up to get him.
Yeah,
I'm not someone that's going to be like, let me jump up from 8 to 4 and send a first.
Yeah.
I think the only time I would consider going all in is if I stumble into like a CMC pick where I'm like, CMC is probably the best pick here. I am going to take this guy, and then that would change my entire mentality.
Yeah.
Like, if I get one of the top 2-3 rounds elite old guys, and it's like, this is definitely the best pick I have, then that's the only time I would 100% be like, I'm going all in. I'm getting to Mike Evans, to Adams, all those guys.
Assuming all things equal, like, you would look at all these 3 rosters the same in terms of like overall value. Would you rather leave a startup being a top 2 contending team, but like, obviously, to have a top 2 contending team, you're like older, or like maybe you moved some seconds, you have like less picks flexibility. Like I'm not going to create the Microsoft Paint chart, but I want you to kind of bear with me as we're breaking down. All right, would you rather that? Would you rather be a very middle of the pack? You have held all your picks, and like maybe opportunity to add 1 or 2 you did. You're a strong enough team to feel like you can compete, but like, obviously you're not touching the top 2 teams. Or a 1 year punt, 100% tanking your pick. Maybe you even acquired a first, but no chance you're competing this year. Do you have a preference leaving the startup? Which of those 3 you'd like? And
I think if I'm guaranteed top 2, I'm going to pick that. Like, if I come out of the draft,
what if you lose you lost your first to do that?
My next year first, I'm fine.
Okay.
If it's like I'm trading multiple years out, then I'm a little concerned.
Yeah.
Like, if I traded my 2029, but like, if I trade my 2027 and I'm sitting there and it's like, yeah, all right, my team is locked and loaded. I constructed right through the draft. I'm a top 2 team. That, I think, to me, and like what Jeffrey said, right, donating money is never a good feeling, right? Like, if I'm a guaranteed top 2 team, I'm going all in for that. If I can't be, I think having that 1 year punt is the second best option. And like you said, it's not super hard to do. Like, it's a lot easier for me to do the 1 year punt and be all right. It's a lot harder to go through a draft and build out a team that ranks 2nd overall in the startup, right? There's so many factors that happen, and it's kind of hard to kind of construct. Like, it's like being like, I have to build a plane while it's flying. Whereas after the draft, you can settle down, you can think, make some trades, like, you have everything. You're not on the clock. It's a lot easier to sit back and think about all the moves more. So that's why like the 1 year punt is great because you have extra flexibility. You can also sell in, buy back in if your team's better than you thought. It's definitely better than being stuck in the middle. But I will always pick being a top 2 team out of the draft. Even if I'm old, like, sure, let it run, and I can figure out what to do after that. I have my 28 first. I have my 29 first. I have a ton of flexibility, even if I traded my 2027 picks.
With it. Shout out to Gracie K. You guys are awesome. Keep up the great content. And just for that, I will give you the Will Taco Bell order. I'm a plain guy.
That's worth it.
I need to. This is worth more than $2, but I appreciated the super chat, so I'll give it to you. All right, I'm gonna do best case scenario. I'm not always getting this, and I'm a plain guy, but I will get semi cost efficient 2 to 3.
Okay.
Beefy potato loaded grillers, and as you all know, you can get other burritos grilled if you ask for it. It is a style. I do no sour cream, not a big sour cream guy, and I do no cheese sauce. I'm very anti like nacho cheese sauce.
That's not like the jalapeno sauce, right?
No, just like the yellowy cheese.
I love the jalapeno sauce.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've not had that, but they do have chipotle sauce in that is like good enough to stand on its own. So it is literally beef, potato, chipotle sauce grilled in a burrito off the Lux Value menu. Save yourself some money in this economy, and then a sugar-free Baja Blast, of course. What else?
Oh, sugar-free.
Light iced potentially, if you want to like truly maximize your Baja Blast enjoyment. But you got to get some ice in there.
When I get a cup from any fast food, there's no ice in that thing. I mean, it's.
Sometimes I'll bring it home.
You drink it quick. And then you fill it up again, and then you bring that home, and then you get like 2 things full of ice.
Wait, Gracie, what's your order? We're going for a run. Actually, I'm gonna put you in a scenario. Right after the stream, we're hungry. Well, you too. This is you and and Gracie. All right, we're all hungry. We're like, famished. We'll just went potty. All right, guys, I'm picking you up. We're hitting up T-Bell. Come back to my place. We're gonna watch a movie. All right, what's the Jeremy hungry 11:30 p.m. Taco Bell order with the boys?
Ooh,
or girls.
I just love a crunchy wrap, and if I'm like a good crunchy wrap supreme, I like putting in the chicken.
We got LARP alert. Crunchy wrap. What's a crunchy wrap, bro?
Well, that's
I'm just kidding.
My wife always calls them that.
I've never had a crunchy wrap.
But those are so good. I love those. I have been opting for some chicken. Do the chicken upgrade.
Okay.
In those, which I've been enjoying.
So
those.
Is that the?
And usually
I
just stick
chicken.
with that.
Is it the crispy chicken?
No, I think it's like grill. It's like ground chicken or something.
Okay.
But that always slaps. I love those. It's a lot of carbs though, which is not always great.
Hey man, but if you're doing the nutrition label checks on your Taco Bell, that's I guess the protein.
It's the healthiest fast food, right?
Yeah, but I think the protein bowls.
I have gotten the protein bowl.
I think they're doing a lot of work on the healthiest fast food aspect.
Yeah,
the protein bowls versus my burrito that normally comes with nacho cheese sauce and the greasiest ground beef, which is still good. Heck yeah.
I'm trying to think of a comparison, but when I was a kid, I was in like middle school or early high school. They just launched the Doritos Locos Tacos, and like my family never really ate at Taco Bell a ton. But I was like,
sorry,
Mom, I have to go get a Cool Ranch Doritos Locos Tacos. Oh, yeah. And let me tell you that might have been the biggest letdown in my life.
Oh, dang.
Like, I was expecting, like, a good Dorito, the crunch. It has, like, some of those air pockets in it. Like,
you gotta accept the
I was expecting, like, an actual, like, Dorito Loco, like, a Cool Ranch giant chip, like, kind of nacho, like, Dorito nachos. and that thing was just like lightly dusted. I'm like, I barely can taste this. I'm like, this is just like a crappy taco.
Dang, I'm sorry, man.
I listened to this commercial. Our local Taco Bell burnt down. Everyone kept making fun of the
Dude, my Taco Bell burnt down.
What's the deal with Taco Bell was burning down?
Yeah.
But yeah, that let down as a kid. That's when I was like, I can never trust Taco Bell again. You know? And yeah, we still never really win a ton. I was more of a cookout guy in college.
I'm not familiar. Is that
It's kind of a
southern thing?
I guess it's a southern thing. It's kind of like In-N-Out, but it's better. It's kind of like late night, and you could get they have the trays. Right? If you ever in the South, just ask someone what their cookout tray is. That's an instant way to like tear down the walls, and they'll be like, you get the 2 quesadillas with a side of quesadilla and a side of quesadilla. Just get 4 quesadillas.
The only
the milkshakes are great.
All of my southern road trips, we always go to Zaxby's, which is it's fine. I don't know. Is Zaxby's like a big South thing, or is it just like it is
down there?
It is.
I will say Chick-fil-A. It's like Chick-fil-A and Bojangles are king here.
Chick-fil-A is good. Ooh, we got the order
Chick-fil-A
here.
is like a different level.
So the Mexican pizza, and then a 5-layer burrito, no sour cream, so a 4-layer burrito. Yeah, I've never been a sour cream guy. I also get I'm a little wary of certain
I haven't tried that Mexican pizza.
ingredients for fast food places, and I feel like sour cream and nacho cheese fall into those camps of I'm just slightly wary. Food, arts, culture, the show really has everything. All right, we're gonna get back into the Dynasty football, but
this needs to be
you get 1 AMA that I must answer, and I will offer it to Jeremy as well if you. But
testimony.
He can, yeah.
Dynasty Daddy show. Food,
I might keep
arts, culture. This show really has everything. 5 stars.
I might keep this up for a little
while. Doesn't even say sports.
Yeah. Culture. Sports are there's some culture in sports.
I guess.
Yeah. A cookout tray. What's up, Becca? Cookout tray with Cajun chicken sandwich, the side of quesadilla. I love that it's the side of quesadilla, but I assume the quesadilla is also one of the main menus. That's
yeah, you can get awesome. 4 quesadillas in one. I would do that sometimes.
I have
great corn dogs.
If I go to a fair, a corn dog is I'm schlogging that thing. I was trying to think of a better word than schlogging. I don't know why that was the only one that came to my mind. Steak, Crunchwrap Supreme, or grilled cheese steak burrito with late night fries. Wait, what are late night fries? Is that different from nacho fries?
Aren't they? They're the late night seasoning, like the late night Doritos.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm so boring with my Taco Bell order.
Those are good.
None of the other items even exist to me. I just get the same whatever burrito is currently in my Rolodex. It used to be the beefy Frito burrito. It's one of my favorites. That thing was like $1.29 or something. Whew. Now you got to pay $4 for your burritos. Inflation, man. Loaded potato grillers are first choice if available. Dude, so good. Banging. All right. Let me click one. All right, this was an interesting one. So Jeffrey Jacobs said, easier to win a league in year one. I'm going to toss it to you. Do you think it is no cop-out? Because I think the cop-out answer is if you do see a handful of teams that are doing the rebuild thing, then, like, obviously
the cop-out is me saying it depends. You're saying I can't say
yes. No, it depends. In your experience, do you think it is easier or harder to win the league in year one versus future years? I have an answer if you want to think.
It depends. No, I do kind of agree with this take, to be honest. I think it's slightly easier because I think year one, a lot of people try to like do a 1-year kick. I think a lot of people don't want to get these old guys. It's hard to pick on Chris McCaffrey or yeah, like you don't want Mike Evans. Like you want someone that you feel good about. So I think it's easier to soak up a lot of win now value, especially in a dynasty draft. Because if you're doing a redraft draft, Christian McCaffrey's like a top 6 pick. And in dynasty, you could get him in the 3rd, 4th round. So if you come in with like, I'm playing this like a redraft league, you get crazy value right out of the gate. There might be a couple other teams doing that. But if you really are like, I'm 100% going for it year one, you get a big advantage because a lot of people are are thinking not in a pedal to the metal. They're like, maybe if it's nice, like maybe if it does happen, I'll let it happen. But I would rather have a Casey Concepcion or Travis Hunter, or like someone like that, not a Devontae Adams or Cortland Sutton.
Yeah.
Give me guys that just score points now, so you can get really good bargains on a lot of those, like later, especially in the later rounds.
Yeah, I do think you do have to kind of really, really understand your own individual ranges. Like, I think if you're in a startup and you are like, and I mean, this tool is great. Like, when you are in your, like, the Dynasty Daddy mock draft tool is awesome. When you are in your actual draft and you can see, like, the picks that have already been taken, who's still available in, like, kind of the overall ADP, I do love that. But you can definitely fall into the trap of locking in, okay, I know I can get DeAndre Swift in the 9th round. Like, I can build out my team this way. Like, you do have to be smart about building out your contending roster and not being certain that you're going to be able to grab Swift in the 9th and Mike Evans in the 9th and Devonta Smith or Devontae Adams in the 10th. But I do think that all things equal, when people are lined up with, stud producer for the next 1 to 2 seasons, or 24, 25-year-old who could become 80% of that stud producer if you give them a couple of years, everyone's taking the sexy dynasty roster pick. So I would lean towards it being slightly easier. And I don't even think you necessarily need to go in with guns a-blazing, first round, Josh Allen, second round, you're, taking JT, third round, you're taking, whatever, James Cook, 4th round CMC. Like, you do not need to build out your team that way. There's like a way where you pick your spots and you can have the strongest contending team because you, in between your like good dynasty picks, you went CMC and then AJ Brown,
and Antonio Williams.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's just more of a construction thing. Like, that's that's what I'll not like I don't want to go back to. Never mind. I'm gonna stop myself there. Icy Jake. I think my new startup has a strong contender for year 1. Trade every future pick, but it could be worth it. Yeah, let me know the league. Let me look it up. Is it a finished startup, or is it one you're working through right now? Both are interesting.
Let me know too, when you say every pick, like, is your first pick that you're going to make in that league 2030?
This is a Chris team. Shout out to Chris.
Whatever happened to him? He'll pop in for a taste.
He's wheeling and dealing. He's got one more second round pick in 2028 that he has to trade before he can show us his roster.
True. He only pops in when he's like, I joined this league and sold everything.
My favorite part about that is there were like I can't even remember the players, but there were 2 or 3 trades he made. I think it was Javonte. It was like he traded his last second or something for Javonte, and I was like, I don't know, man. Like, you have no flexibility, and it's Javonte Williams, and I was like, wait, that was a banger trade. Let's go, yeah.
No, but he had some that were like I think Olave was one too. He traded like something for Olave. And we were all like, oh, why would you do that? And then Olave's wide receiver 6.
All right, I am going to be fully transparent. Every time I scroll up on my chat thing, you know how I broke my chat last stream? I fixed it.
Yes.
And when I fixed it, I broke it again. So every time I scroll up, wait, maybe I could do like a pop-out thing. Will that work? Every time I scroll up, it auto-scrolls down, and it will not let me lock it. Even if I hold it.
Now Subtitle Chip can say food, arts, culture, and tech support. This show really has everything.
What's the opposite of tech support, though? It's just more of like tech complaining is really what we have. Like, there's not a lot of...
Well, I have a boomer camera, and what was that make you?
It makes me really locked
Makes
in
you the boomer?
All right, that was a quick click. I have to like scroll up, and right before it shoots down, I have to find the message and click it. I got you, Xavier. I sniped this for you. All right, 12 by... I guess I'll go back to this. 12 by 11. Okay, now I lost it.
12 by 11 Superflex. 0.5 PPR tight end premium.
Nice.
Hard contender. Give neighbors, get Rashee Rice in a 28 first. If not, what range in the plus of Rashee for my Neighbors? Or do I hold and sell Neighbors midseason to a team that realizes they're rebuilding? Is a 28 first enough for you to down tier to Rashee? Because you're over here, you're drawing, you're making art for him.
I am. Man.
Is that enough?
It's not. The structure of this deal is not bad. It is like purely the player, I think, that you're taking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think Rice has some of the same, we're hoping for, better injury news leading into this year that Neighbors has. Obviously less, but I am not 100% sure that like week 1 we're getting 100% Rice, even though it's closer to 100% than what Neighbors will be.
I'm less concerned about Rice's injury. I'm more concerned about him just going to jail.
Yeah. Would it have to be like okay, you don't like Pickens as much. Would it have to be like a little bit higher? Like, what if it was Olave in a first?
Probably do it. It's hard because
it's a 12 by 11, which makes me a little bit more inclined to do this. Like, I'm still getting a stud locked in starter and a first round pick in a 12 by 11.
I kind of just don't feel like Rashee's going to be a stud locked in starter though.
That's fair.
Like with Olave, Garrett Wilson, yeah, like Egbuka, Pickens, even like you feel like okay, I got a guy, but I don't know, man. Like Rice, even last year, Rice was like sometimes good, but it was like very force fed in the offense. A lot of like low A dot stuff. I was like,
I mean, the offense
love the usage.
It's gonna change. Like I do think that they might go back to the run even more. You bring in Kenneth Walker, Bieniemy. You got Mahomes coming off the injury. They haven't been like one of the highest pass rate teams over the past couple of seasons, anyways. So I do think there is some fear of like situationally Rice being a 14 point per game guy versus an 18, that we've seen in spurts.
Yeah, like
I don't think Tate in the first is asking too much. For Neighbors, I don't think any of these guys, like wide receivers, I think past Drake London, I don't think any of those receivers, right? So like right here, if we go back here, I don't think any receivers past Drake London is too much to ask. Plus a first for Neighbors. Like I think CD and London is too much to ask. I think even T-Mac, Tate. I assume the owner wouldn't do that, but T-Mac, Tate, Egbuka, Pickens, Nico, Garrett Wilson, Olave. I don't think any of those are like way too rich. I just think like the Neighbor stuff, obviously the injury, but like, dude, let's be real. When we've seen Neighbors, it's been insane. Now, I am down to get off of Neighbors on my contending team. Not healthy heading into the season. Potential pup candidate, playing for a Matt Nagy offense. I'm down to get off of. I'm down to get off of Neighbors, just at his current value. But I'm also, no matter what I say about Nagy and the Giants, and the injury. I mean, baller's gonna ball. Like Neighbors, healthy Neighbors is gonna give you top 12 production.
That's the thing to me is I think I'm holding because I don't think the story changes. Everyone saw the softball game or whatever and was like, Neighbors might not be able to walk again. So like you are basically selling him as if he is a Lab McConkey and not like he's JSN. So to be able like, I'll just hold. I could go around. I could make that same deal for 30 other wide receivers that are probably in that same range and feel okay with. Zay Flowers in a first. I mean, that sucks, but like maybe if it's a potential early first, you're sitting there being like, not a terrible trade. There's a lot of guys in that range that you can probably make a deal for Neighbors for if all the fear that we have that's baked in becomes truly true. What I would want is to say, hey, Neighbors is healthy, gets back week 10, puts up 2 good weeks, drops 30 points. Okay, cool. Now let me go get player X into first. Now you are a contender, so you might be like, I don't know if I want to hold it for that long.
Yeah.
But I do think I would be trying to maximize his value because a month ago he was going at wide receiver 3 ahead of Puka Nacua in some drafts, and now he's in the middle of the second round. Yeah. I'm not gonna, sometimes you got to sit through and hold some of these guys, especially when no one is scoring points. If you're sitting there and you're like, hey man, I'm pushing for a bye, Neighbors is just doing nothing. I get being like, let me go get a guy that's scoring now. But we also don't know if Rashid Rice is going to be scoring. So you could be sitting there being like, Neighbors for a guy that's in prison and a first-round pick. Like, that's not going to help a contender either. I would kind of want to make sure my bullet is being used on a player that's like producing pretty solidly. Like if I did that for Olave last year, as Olave is producing kind of under the radar, sure, like that's a fine deal for me. But to me, like that's kind of your just insurance policy.
Yeah.
If things go wrong, Neighbors will always be worth a second round startup pick this year, unless he like does something that we haven't seen in forever and just like retire or do something crazy.
Yeah, I think I'm with it. I think Neighbors is too good. I think because I do think that you are approaching the point of that being, and I like Rice at cost, but isn't that kind of dream trade? Wide receiver people hate, plus a 28 first for like a stud receiver. And if you're a hard contender too, it is 12 by 11, I get it. But if you're a hard contender, I don't know. I feel like a part of me hearing that phrase makes me think that you can wait out the Neighbors pup stuff and then maybe reevaluate heading into the season. If it's actually pup, he's not going to be ready for the first half of the
Mike
season.
Evans. Buy Mike Evans' insurance policy and then wait for Neighbors to come back week 10.
Buy Darius Slayton insurance policy, he's just going to dominate target share. Oh, wait, Darnell Mooney.
Antonio Williams, wide receiver 1.
Isaiah
ahead of Ayuk.
All right. I'm just trying to quick peek if there was any. Okay, we do have this one. Shout out to Jeffrey. 12. Wait. Okay, yeah, 12 by no stars. 12 team super flex PPR full point 10 premium start, 2 tight end and 2 flex. So it's a tri-flex league. Complete rebuild, earn the 101. Sent Malik Willis in a tri-flex. 107, Chris Rodriguez in the 312. Got Jalen Hurts, 27 second. Send offers for Hurts, everyone. Man, Hurts in a second. For Malik Willis, the 107.
That's just so cheap,
in this class.
That's so cheap.
The 107? I guess you could still. It is start 2 tight end and a full point 10 in premium. So that's probably why that 107 carries some weight. Like with
what, Stowers? I would guess.
I mean, like Sadiq. I just mean in terms of like 107. Yeah, like Sadiq matters. So like the top 7 gets a little bit of a bump. Man.
Yeah, but 3 starting quarterbacks?
No, I'm not even.
I mean, Jalen Hurts is, for sure. I mean, that
and the 27 second, just like, here you go, bro. Here's a 27 second and a start 2.
I know, like for C-Rod
in a better, and in a better quarterback class. Like those quarterbacks are gonna fly off the board. Even the early second, late first ones we get.
Oh, come on, no. I'm not buying any of that. They're gonna They're gonna go back to school, man.
I'm just saying, like in a tri.
You got Sorsby. Sorsby would have gone back to school if he wasn't gambling.
True.
They'll find a way. I don't think there'll be super deep quarterback classes.
Yeah, I just mean in relation to this class, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we got Arch, baby.
Here we go. I'm hitting these because I kind of figured out a tiny workaround to be a little bit better at sniping these messages that were earlier. Just hit a Coney Dog. I think the new OC in Philly can completely recharge the offense. Feel like we were mostly disappointed in everyone's performance last year. Buying everybody. Talking about Jalen Hurts there. It sounds like we are going to get a little bit more of the under center stuff, which I think, I just overall under center play action, like overall offensive efficiency is just always better than letting Hurts do his shotgun my career mode. I know you guys are all shotgun 4 wide my career Madden players. Don't lie.
Ouch, I feel called out. I do a lot of mesh routes.
Yeah, you just run. You just do slants, don't you? That was the
No,
classic.
I do mesh. Nah.
Mesh is kind of like you feel better, but you just feel like you're just still calling slants. I used to just run slants constantly. Then you just wait.
I always do the
That guy's not open.
mesh
Maybe that guy will be open.
with a corner. And then I'm always like, and then I have a somewhat mobile quarterback, so then I just roll out of the pocket, and if the corner's open, I just drill it for like 20 yards, and if not, then I just do a check down to that mesh route. Because I don't feel like check downs really work in like Madden or whatever. Like you don't really have that running back that's usually following along with the play. Like the AI just like sits there and stays covered. I'm like, I can't do none of the Mahomes. Yeah, like do the switch hands, and so I have to like reverse engineer it.
The linebacker's running that route. I don't have a personal AMA, but I guess my question is, how do you guys keep leagues feeling fresh for all players? I feel like every league hits a slump after about 3 years. Want everyone to have fun. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the like cop out answer is like overall league activity. Whatever you can do to boost that. So to me, I like that's just more fun. Like when more trades happen, it's more interesting. People get more involved. And honestly, I think when trades happen, people then are more willing to make trades in that league when they start seeing moves happen. I think that other than like, it's hard to like get your leagues to be more active. Like you can't just type a message and be like, oh guys, this league is so lame. Like we should make more trades. What you should do is that
was a new accent.
I was trying to mix a couple so that it was like not potentially racist at all. Just like when you combine like 3 or 4 and they can't pinpoint what you're trying to do. I think that the first step I would do is I would set up a like auto accept trade block with player nicknames. Like I think that is like an easy little bump to get people to make deals. Like players that are borderline roster cloggers for, thirds or fourths on your bench. And then, you're got too many receivers. You move one of them for a future second or something. Like just getting 1 or 2 deals out the door like that I think keeps the league fresh, where players that are, guy he's had the 104 pick 3 or 4 years in a row and he's the worst team and he never tanks down to the bottom. Like seeing deals and trades happen, I think makes people feel like they can move their teams in the directions they want to.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything you said was good. Like I agree with it. I mean, I'll add too. I think in portfolio, or when people have a lot of leagues, it's hard to kind of differentiate them and make them feel like this one matters more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, ones that are like home leagues matter. And I think the biggest thing is if a league matters to you, doing just other interesting things outside even the scope of like strategy is a way to get the league special to other people, right? Like just people that love to do newsletters or previews or little write-ups or whatever. Like finding ways to engage everyone in that way is a great way to get people invested in that league beyond just, oh man, this one guy constantly grinds trades and keeps fleecing the 2 managers that don't care, and now I don't really care because, it's just like this crazy team that takes advantage of his brother or whatever. Like,
yeah,
there's a lot of leagues like that where you're like, okay, whatever. But if you do want a league to kind of differentiate, I think doing interesting things like that or having a trophy or whatever is ways to make people actually care about that league outside of just my team is good, so I'm going to care about the league.
Yeah. All right, we got some live stream asks. I'm going to start to pull up. I probably should only answer this. Are you able to click the chats? Do you want to hit one while I'm getting these ready?
My chat thing is not working either.
Classic. Oh, we do have
I do have the chat pulled up so I can read some.
No,
it won't show up on the screen.
I just clicked away from it right when it got up. But shout out to Dynasty Jake. We got the league ID. This is a startup that let's hit this one, and then I'll hit the other live stream asks if you guys are waiting ever so kindly and patiently for
Yeah, I
this
think we
one.
got 2
Let me get
live stream asks.
yes. Let me get this puppy up. All right, let's hear about this. All right, while I'm getting it up, do you see the Jake message? Do you want to start to read that startup plan?
Yes, I got you. I need to pull it up as well. Okay, startup plan. First off, shouts to Dynasty Jake. There are dozens of us, dozens of Panther fans out there waiting for our first championship.
Literally dozens.
You know, yeah, this guy's talking trash. How about you make one first? How about you make one?
I got a Panther shirt. I'll wear my Panther shirt next week. I've been.
I need to get a Lions shirt. We do a jersey swap. But startup plan from Dynasty Jake was to take for Jeremiah, but someone legitimately traded almost every startup pick. So 102 it is. Went with a little QB horde, JD, Herbert, Nix, Mendoza. My first 4 picks. Traded away my 5th, turned into Rome for a 28 first, and tiered down from JD to Jordan Love, a 27 first and a second. Hoping their top 5 picks. Got Willis late and RBs to use as trade bait later in the season. Smashed Antonio Williams. That's for Will.
Banger.
Overall thoughts, question mark. Okay,
yeah, I mean, this is
rip into him, Will.
This is a strong. This is like a Herbert, Nix, Mendoza, Love, Willis, QB room on a tanking team. I wonder if there's some like potential. You got a Kyler Tua guy that's got a Monra, Nico, Pierce, but I mean, this is definitely a potential trade target here. A contender with Goff and Deshaun Watson. Just wait until you start to see those beautiful Browns preseason games. Hit up that guy. Okay, and then other than that, decent enough QB rooms across the board. But like that's pretty nice to see out of a startup. 2 crappy QB rooms when you've got a strong QB room as a tanker.
Well, I'm interested here. I know Dynasty Jake has been very, very nice. One of the common guys in the stream chat.
Yeah.
But I also know the guy on the camera across from me, not a big fan of QB3s. What do you think of somewhat valuable QB5s on a roster when you're
That's why I started
locking
there.
in Antonio Williams as your wide receiver 2? You got Zach Charbonnet, Mason, Dowdle. Like,
It did
like
sound
how are you thinking about this 1-year punt?
Yes, and it definitely started with moving off of the QB room, right? So I am like immediately knocking on the door and seeing, and here's the thing, and it's gonna feel uncomfortable, and maybe like I think people are in on Justin Herbert already, and I do think he's gonna have a strong year, but I think the thing with having a super strong QB room where it not only does it make sense for your team, if you are going to build your team this way, you almost need to move these guys like this year, if not before the season, early on heading into the season, especially if you're tanking for, potentially the 101, 102 pick. But yeah, Herbert, Nix, Mendoza, like, okay, so what I was going to say is it might have to be Herbert, like this is not the one you want to move. Like you want to give a sweetheart deal for Malik Willis. You want to get a nice deal for Jordan Love. But the QB that everyone's going to want to buy is Herbert off your roster, even more than Nix coming off the injury. So are you just looking for picks with this team? You could package with a running back. You got Rico Dowdle.
I'm going to Thomas Moore, 99. I'm telling him, look at me. You have Christian McCaffrey. You're trying to win.
Yeah.
You got Deshaun Watson as your QB2 right now. I'll give you Herbert. Plus, give me a Malik Neighbors.
Ooh, I don't hate that. Would you are you doing some kind of Herbert,
Devonta Smith, Neighbors. maybe you get like
I know.
something back.
I was thinking you could get something back too. Okay, what about he's got Ramondre RB3. Would you do a Herbert, Dowdle, Devonta Smith? This guy's got 227 firsts. I'm probably getting a little too funky trying to get neighbors and a first off this guy. Let's just start to build something out here. The post startup trades are something. I rarely see them happen. Do you see post startup trades happen a lot?
Not like
before the
instantly.
season. Yeah, it usually does take a couple weeks for people to submit their trades.
You have to have some news change. You have to have like the news change a little bit.
Yeah. Here's the issue. This is probably going to say that it's close. I would love to do this kind of deal where I say, hey, buddy, I will give you Herbert, Smith, Rico. You give me neighbors, and you get to pick your first. The trade calculator is saying you're losing here, but I feel like I'm asking too much. Am I asking too much out of this? Do you wait
What
for
is the trade?
So this is Herbert, Smith, and Rico for neighbors and a first. They can pick.
I think you're probably asking too much.
Okay. All right. What would you do?
That's where my take would be.
I like the structure of this deal, but I don't want to do it for neighbors straight up.
I'm curious if you had. Let me double check.
The RBs are CMC, David Montgomery, and then it goes Ramondre. That was part of the reason why I thought maybe a Rico would seem appealing.
I mean, maybe
Tucker Kraft.
I feel like if I would be like, you want Dowdle, Charbonnet, like give all like Keaton Mitchell, like just like I think if you throw enough running backs in there to be like, okay, I have a little bit of diversified running back options here, that might be more enticing. Or I think you would have to add like a second.
Would you add a second quarterback? Am I getting too wet and wild?
I mean, I would. Could I take like Willis?
I think that piece is definitely getting you closer to the structure of a deal. I think some people would say you're giving up too much here. Mostly off the back of Herbert. But the structure of this deal I'm down for. You think you get more? If you went Herbert, Willis, Smith, and Dowdle, neighbors, a first, and something else.
I don't think you're giving up too much because I look at this team. I don't know what's doing the heavy lifting. You know,
Yeah.
like what is me trying to hold on to Malik Willis? Like, what's the value upside of that long term?
Yeah,
Like,
I do think you get 2 to 3 years, but yeah, definitely not a. I don't think the value hike is going to happen, even if he has a couple strong weeks.
Yeah, and like even if he's good and starting quarterback for the Dolphins for 5 years, I mean, which would be crazy. Do you feel like that amazing? Like I feel like he would cap out at like Jared Goff.
Yeah,
and you're like, okay, well that's fine.
And I get this, and I almost stopped myself when I was talking about it first, Red. I think Herbert has room to climb in value, and I don't mind holding for a bit to see stronger line plus McDaniels calling his plays. But I think this is just like when I was talking about early in the stream, I mentioned July. We are starting to hit the point. Like groupthink, I think has a negative connotation because not all groupthink is incorrect. Like a lot of groupthink just stems from what is just obviously in front of us. And I think one of the things that's obviously in front of us is the O-line injuries, like you talked about, like how well Herbert played last year, and then the McDaniel stuff. So I think, healthy Hampton season too. Like not even just the O-line. So I do think that QB7 right now, like I think Herbert is kind of getting the respect, not just in the QB rankings, but I think in the streets. Like I think he is seen as like right behind Caleb.
I think he's kind of baked in.
Yeah, in terms of like upside excitement at the QB spot.
Like I think the value, like you said, is baked in with like here's the names above them: Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
he might be able to hop one. He might, like, what if Caleb Williams has a terrible year? Sure, he hops him. Joe Burrow gets hurt again. He's like 31. Okay. Like, sure. I could see him jumping once. But Herbert is also coming up on the same things that Joe Burrow is. Injured a lot, in a good offense. He's going to turn 29 this year. Like, I don't think the elite upside of, like, outside of him putting together a Josh Allen season, I don't think he has the upside to go much higher, given what his age is and given where he's already at. Like, he's already very, very valuable as is. And now you might be giving up, 5-10% of his value. But I also look at this team, and I'm like, if I'm trying to win, if I'm trying to build a team that's well-rounded, and I have 5 freaking quarterbacks, I need to get good value for this. And if I can lock in a 22, 23-year-old wide receiver and Neighbors that people are a little bit down on because he might not be good for this season, well, that's great because I don't need him for this season. So he can hang out on my bench, recoup his value, and be that wide receiver centerpiece that I need to start building out for a well-rounded team. Because right now, Herbert's great, Nix is great, Mendoza, who knows, but still he's valuable. I need to be able to use a lot of this value. And the easiest way to do that is to try to shift like a Herbert into a different position that can be kind of a long-term dynasty piece.
Yeah. And I think the one thing I don't want to underestimate, because I do think there's some merit to QB trades can happen in season. We'll have injuries, bye weeks, whatever. But I don't want to underestimate being able to construct getting value for 2 quarterbacks on your roster in the offseason, fresh out of a startup, on a team that you are trying to position yourself to tank for a top 2 pick. And I get the whole he moved, traded all his players. I mean, this is the one thing that is like the biggest difference between your team and the projected 101 team in terms of tanking. It is 0 running backs that are scoring points for your max points for, while you've got, potentially, I mean, as far as like random upside weeks, like Keaton Mitchell can do something, Jordan Mason can do something, Charbonnet, obviously the injury, second half of the season, Rico Dowdle for sure, Monungai. So like these names, I'm definitely willing to move in the sake of, I don't think they matter enough where I'm going to lose out on the value and not be able to buy back Rico Dowdle next year for similar prices that I would sell him for heading into this season as the presumptive starter. But yeah, I know that was 2 things, but I do think that trying to figure out a QB trade, I would at least be knocking on the door of, is there a way for me to turn Herbert plus into some sort of Neighbors deal?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of, you got to find elite value for quarterbacks. And I think this is one of the few examples where you could potentially say you do have a strong enough QB horde that other teams are hurting at quarterbacks. There's a lot of times you do have 3 quarterbacks and you're like, well, I should be able to flip one for a lot. And you can't really because, everyone else has 2-3 quarterbacks, but you have 5 good ones. It's hard, like 1 or 2 teams is kind of hurting based on those decisions.
I mean, what's hard though is it is 1 or 2 teams though. And that's the thing with the quarterback position, man. Like even this is the like 3rd worst QB ranked team right here. And it's Baker Mayfield, Matt Stafford, Daniel Jones. Like this team right now is like, I have 3 starting quarterbacks, and that's the worst one. I mean, Dart, Shuck, Brissett, like people are convincing themselves that they have 3 starting quarterbacks on the roster all the way down. And so I do think that you could easily fall into the trap of there's a couple wills in your leagues who are down to have 2 quarterbacks, and you're sitting holding on to 5, and not getting value for them on a team that you're trying to tank. So I'm knocking on that door semi hard to try to see if I can get a deal done.
No, I agree. I mean, I think this is the hard part with quarterbacks, and I think people that want to do quarterback hordes, it only works, in my opinion, if you get multiple elite guys. Like if you have Drake May, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels. Okay, all of those will demand a big price. Here is a great example. You have a lot of quarterbacks, but like, does Jordan Love demand a big price? He's all right. Mendoza, people are kind of, mixed bag. No one's going to send you the house for him. Knicks, his injury concerns, but they're all good quarterbacks. They all have at least, a 2-3 year window of job security.
Yeah.
But none of them have that upside of like a Herbert plus. And that's kind of what you need in order to actually get someone who is sitting there with Sam Darnold feeling like they need to go send out a motherload trade to go tier up and get one of those guys.
Yeah. All right, we had a big Diaz live stream club ask that I'm getting set up here. It's 2 deals.
Sounds good.
On the table. So that'll be the next puppy that we'll start petting.
Let's see what we have going on in the chat. Do we hit which one is it?
My guess is no, but go on.
Slice Alina's 1.75 tight end premium, 12 teams start 10. I'm in a startup. Do I go with Hawk and Goddard before taking White and Gainwell type running backs? Currently in the late 10th. So 0.75 tight end premium, so it's considered the tight end premium here. 12 teams start 10. I assume based on the tight end premium, we're talking full PPR for other positions.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying, let me go with some of these maybe older, undervalued tight ends in this type of format over some of these kind of high-end backup RBs that we might be interested in?
Yeah, I probably would. I mean, I do like the bets of White and Gainwell just in terms of their price, but I do think Gainwell one is like really, really rising. Just with Bucky's on the thumbnail. We haven't really hit on the Bucky, but I feel like every stream we've talked about how people are down on the Buckster. Just with the only news is negative news when it's not really practicing, off-season injury stuff, expected to have him back. That's just always going to push players down in terms of overall trade value. I don't know, 0.75, that's kind of right on the edge where I would push the button and try to lock in at least one of these guys who I think could give me, solid enough production. I don't know.
Yeah, is there borderline flex options as well? Are you saying week 8 it's Kenneth Gainwell in your flex, or Goddard? It's probably a 50-50. Unless Gainwell is going crazy like he did on Pittsburgh. So,
and I think that might have been more of an Aaron Rodgers thing than necessarily. I mean, I think Kenneth Gainwell is good in that role, but I think Rachaad White's good in that role, and it's not like Rachaad White was smashing 8-9 receptions a game last season.
No, I agree.
Yeah, and I think especially considering your current running back room, if it's your running back 4, 5, 6, and the hit of Gainwell this season is more of a trade piece, trade chip than it is something that you're nice. I took all these, I went hero running back in the startup and then just took a bunch of Rachaad White, Gainwell, Jalen Warren types, and one of these guys is going to matter for my lineup. If it's not that situation, then I'm definitely more inclined to lean into trying to make sure my starting tight end is impactful in a 0.75 tight end premium when it matters more.
Yeah, and I think the thing I would also say is are you actually potentially going to use a Goddard, right? Have you already loaded up on tight end and you're oh, I need a good tight end 4, but you're not going to actually use him? Then I would definitely lean running back, because we see with Kamani Vidal, these guys are cheap, but if the opportunity opens up, they become viable starters, even if they're RB10 under your Dynasty Daddy rankings. Just because once you know that they are going to get 20 touches a game, they're super valuable. Whereas, if you have 4 other good tight ends, I'm not going to continue to go to that well, because even if they're all doing well or whatever, I'm not going to start them all. So you think a little bit of the roster construction is there, but I would get me some tight ends that I know are going to score and probably be top 10 tight ends. I can always find some uglier, gross options at the running back room that give me that one injury away upside.
All right, quick one here, and then I've got the big Diaz, big question up. 28 first and Keon Coleman or Jalen Waddle, 12-team PPR. The 2028 first is projected mid at this point.
Projected mid, yeah. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
How much are you valuing Keon Coleman? Like, to me, to me, I just look at it. I'm like, okay, it's a first for Waddle.
It's a roster spot. Yeah. I mean, Keon, like I don't want to like give up on Keon, but the leagues that I want to not, the leagues I want to not give up on Keon are like best ball. Like, is he receiver running routes for a Josh Allen offense? Not necessarily the future alpha. We're getting
that you have to start.
Yeah, we're getting the positive Keon reports, but it is not the first offseason we've gotten the positive Keon reports.
I mean, the owner was like, "This guy's a loser." You don't see that often.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm curious which side you took, Sean.
Yeah, because I see the message is, I smashed but wanted your thoughts. I'm down to move a 2028 first for Waddle. Like, I think that's like very, very fair price.
Yeah, 12-team PPR leans a little bit into the format. You could sit there too.
We'll get you to bed soon, don't worry.
If the wide receiver market's pretty dry as well, like saying, sure, I'll just send a first for Waddle, I think is fair. It's just kind of like, okay, where's that team at to know if that's the right move context wise. But I do think it's a completely fair trade.
Okay, wait, real quick. I'm also thinking of tight end scarcity. RB5 is Breece Hall. Aker Goddard would be tight end too. Am I reading that correctly?
I think so.
Breece Hall, RB5? Dude, if Jalen Warren was your RB5, I would be down to do the...
Yeah. No, definitely load up on the Goddards. Like, you are good at running back at the high end.
I mean,
doesn't mean I don't want to dabble with more running backs, but...
Yeah. There's a part of me that's like, especially seeing the tight end 2 part, like if you took Tyler Warren or Bowers or something, like, okay, the Hawk Goddard hit doesn't really matter for you as much. Like, yes, maybe in the flex department, but if Breece Hall's your RB5, like, I'm not trying to flex Dallas Goddard and DJ Hawkinson.
I might be asking myself, like, do I need a wide receiver? Like, how did you get Breece Hall?
Yeah.
Did you overdraft running back and now you're like, oh, my wide receiver 2 is Alec Pierce?
Waddle side, got Waddle. Nice. Let's go. All right, real quick. I think Herbert being valued less than Neighbors is crazy right now. I think when I made a trade where I traded away Neighbors in a big deal for Bijan, and there was a part of me that was like, I was really staring down Neighbors, and I was like, dude, this is, right now to me, this is CD Lamb with a little bit more injury question marks, who's, how old is Neighbors? Is he 24? He's 23.
Yeah, Neighbors is like crazy young.
Like, that's the one part. He's 22. Oh my gosh, that's the one part about it that is like, you take
Neighbors is like ridiculously young,
and you think about this trade show, like at the 2027 July 7th, and we're looking at startup ADPs, and Neighbors finished the season like he started every other season, before hitting injuries, and like stayed relatively healthy. He is like clearing Herbert by a full round, even if Herbert has.
He'd be Dynasty player 1. I mean, he'd be like, like he would easily be the number 1 player.
That is like in the realistic range of outcomes for like a healthy finish to Neighbor season. And like it is funny too. I'll peek over where we at mock draft here. Like, the most negative offseason you could have for Neighbors, like multiple surgeries, pup candidate, 206. Like, it's like middle of the second round in a dynasty startup.
But just think, when we are doing this show in 2030, He will be 26. He'll be younger than CeeDee Lamb is now.
Yeah. And it is interesting when you do the QB stuff because like QBs age differently than other positions, but 22 is we're having a different conversation.
22 is ridiculous.
Receiver. All right, 2 deals on Big Diaz's big table here. This seems 3 first and 27. All right, this is a live stream ask brag, but we'll go through it.
Yeah, this is a big Diaz victory lap.
But these big boy trades are fun though. These look like a couple of big boy ones. A contender 27 first for Hendo on a team where you have Jency Henry. I'm gonna read the other one. The other is Tootin and a contender 27 first for JT and a 26 210. I can do both, one or none. Just trade a T-Ferg and my 27 second for QJ and some 26 fourths. Okay, let me make sure there's nothing funky scoring wise on this one. 12 by 10, full PPR, 0.510 in premium, 6-point passing touchdown. And looks like
there's some bonuses.
Yardage bonuses for hitting like 100, 200. Passing yard bonuses. Okay, and the other ones are pretty normal. Are you trading with this roster? Would you do the 27 contender first bet for Hendo? Genty, Henry, Tootin.
I think I would.
It is kind of the perfect team to do it on, especially when you have 3 firsts. Like you do kind of have. But do you like the JT trade more? I think I like it more.
I think I like the JT more just because like I'm a contender. I need to know I'm getting production. And like ultimately like JT is someone that I feel better with this year.
I love JT. But here's the one thing I want to stop myself because I don't know exactly what the discrepancy is between the two of us, but I am way more inclined to move my first. And I just want the people to know that when I'm giving trade advice here.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to stop myself. Are you doing a little bit too much tacking a first onto Tootin and the 210? Oh, you get the 210 back. Tootin and a contender 27 first for JT.
Well, that's so. The thing is, I feel like I like JT more, but I also could sit here and say, okay, here's the world where I have Tootin. I have my contender first. I want to move one of my first. I'm moving this contender first. It's either for Henderson or it's for JT. Would you rather have just JT or Henderson and Tootin? Because you look at the depth here, we got Henry, Genty, Tootin. Like if you get rid of Tootin, bring in Henderson, I still don't feel great about my my running back room depth wise. I still feel like I have to go make a different move to get at least some sort of flex by week upside guy at the running back position. I don't feel great about Mitchell, Vidal, Mason, but Henderson would make me feel like I don't need to do that.
Okay, stop me if I'm. Let me know if I. Okay, so you're saying. So I think you are keeping Tootin in the Hendo deal, or am I mishearing what you're saying?
Yes. No, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying if you just look at the deal, I like the JT part, but I think for the roster construction side, moving because essentially all it would be is moving the first. Do I want Henderson and Tootin on my roster, or would I rather just have JT? And I feel like with just JT, you got to go make another move to bring a DeAndre Swift or someone else on this roster.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have Tootin and Henderson, I feel like obviously both of them have good upside, but I also feel like I can go into the regular season, feel perfectly fine about what I have at my running back room. I don't feel like I have to make an additional move.
Yeah, I'm doing the JT.
Because if you bake in that additional move, it is something where you're like, oh man, like what happens if JT gets injured? And you're like, yeah, like I don't have any other way to bail myself out here.
Yeah, like you can like quote unquote lose this deal, right? If like week 3, it's like, dang, Tootin is like, he is not losing a lot of this pass catching stuff. He is mixing in the in between the 20s carries with Chris Rodriguez, and he's still got some of the goal line role because he was decent at it last year. That is how you lose this deal. But you also might not feel too bad about losing the deal that way if JT is JTing and you have JT, Genty, Henry, Chase, Amon-Ra, this wide receiver room, Bowers, Drake May, Lamar, smashing, and all you had to give up was one contender 27 first and the Tootin bet. So I'm down to do it. And this is a good call too. He has another contract coming for sure. Like he's not your typical like, is this the end? Like he is. I mean, he is arguably one of the best. Wow. Oh, I almost used the phrase pure rushers. Shout out to Nick Chubb, man. It was just he used to just. I was about to say that's the Nick Chubb. Pure rusher, man. Oh. Is it JT right now? Who has the current role of best pure runner in the NFL?
Okay,
probably Sean.
Is it not Derrick Henry? I feel like it's been him for like 15 years.
Pure, there's something about.
But like, is it because he just stiff arms? Like he's too powerful. Like he's too much of a power back.
I think my issue is it is like pure vibes thing in my mind. So like the pure runner, I want to have a little bit of. It doesn't need to be like totally
it's more
juking somebody out of their boots. It's just more of like the whole is just like the it's just a beautiful maneuver. It's probably Bijan.
It's like butter, I do like the way Bijan runs, man. Whereas like Derrick Henry is just like
I'm probably a hater.
I think it's Derrick Henry. Like I'll be honest. Like I remember people saying about Chubb. Even then it was Henry. Like Derrick Henry's like might be like 3rd all time in rushing yards when he's done. Like I do love a Bijan and JT, but I don't know. Henry's just done it for so long.
Hey, appreciate it, fellas. Appreciate you. We fly. No lie, they ballin'. Does Will FF have a day job, guys? Okay, I gotta be.
Is Will unemployed?
I gotta be cautious because I don't know. I honestly, the only people from my job that would watch the stream wouldn't snitch on me for saying this, but I am very actively looking for new employment. So if you guys have any companies out there, if you work for a company that is hiring an account manager who knows his logistics, can manage that account to no end, and truly be a servant leader and really deliver the wow for clients, you let me know.
Let's pull up the resume stream.
I did just make the resume. I'd probably leak too much to the 20
the MS Paint resume is gonna hit.
I did. Actually, my wife, she told me to stop. I was in Canva and I was like trying to make my resume look prettier, and I was doing the whole like one side has this like block color that has like my core skills and my volunteer work, and she was like, "You're doing too much. Like you just need to look up what ChatGPT tells you are the biggest buzzwords that people use on the resumes and sneak those in there." Ooh, the relocation. Man, it's going to have to be a no. My wife does really, really cool volunteer work in our area. She started a nonprofit. So it is a hard no, but I appreciate this message more than you know.
We'll hook you up in the Detroit area. We'll have to find some logistics.
Did I ever tell you guys I interviewed with the Lions? I actually had it was kind of like a partnerships coordinator job. Interview with the Lions. First, it was a 4-part interview. I had to interview with 4 different people. First 3 went awesome. They were great. They were like awesome conversations. And then the 4th person, which unfortunately I assume is the hiring person, like the highest up, makes the final call.
Yeah.
Like I was expecting, like I came prepared with questions, but I'm not gonna leak who it was. God bless her heart. She came in, she sat down, she looks at me and she says,
Nope.
All right, what do you want to ask me? And I kind of just like really caught me off guard. Like I was like, I feel like usually they ask you at least one question before you get into the like, do you have any questions for me? And that's how all the other three went. And then so her whole interview was, I need you to ask me questions. And I was like, okay, dang, I didn't write like 5 questions to ask you. I wasn't ready to give the interview, so I didn't get the job.
Got flustered, man.
I did.
I know how that is.
It was pretty young in my professional career.
I've done many interviews where like in software engineering, you have the technical interview. And now I haven't interviewed since like ChatGPT and all the LLMs came out, so I don't know if it's changed a little bit. But there's a website called LeetCode where it has thousands of interview questions, and you have to just grind these questions to understand like what algorithms they'll be asking you.
Yeah.
And then the interviews are literally like 6 hours long, multiple sessions, and they will just sit down and it'll be like a Zoom call like this or something, and just be like, here's a question you've never seen, code in front of me, and solve the problem. And then they'll like halfway through be like, okay, now what if we did this? Now what if we did this? And then you'll be like, oh man, like you'll be like, I did good on this one. And then the next one, it's like, oh crap, I completely botched this one. Like I remember I had my interview with Microsoft, and it was like, make a Sudoku game. And I was like, okay, whatever, make a grid. I was like, oh, this is a matrix problem. The entire time I forgot, I haven't played Sudoku in forever. I forgot that it also like works like diagonally or whatever.
Ooh. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I was like, never mind. Like I was like literally like an hour in. I was like, I have 5 minutes to re-engineer my entire algorithm because I forgot one of the rules on how to play. Dang. So I did not get that job. They did not hear back from him. My interviewer was also sick. So he was like, I have the flu and I'm working from home today. I'm like, okay, this is probably going to be a tough one for me to get, for you to be like, I enjoyed this interview. Yeah. But yeah, the technical ones stink. Sometimes you get a take-home project though, which I like those a little bit more because it'd be like, hey, make something like this. And I'm like, okay, at least I have, 24 hours to put it together. It's hard when you're like under the gun and they're like, do this. Now, what if you did it backwards and then upside down? I'm like, what? Like, what am I supposed to do here?
Dude, I'm getting like secondhand stress from that. My worst was like I had to take a test that had a VLOOKUP in it. That's like the worst. The worst.
No, it is stressful, man.
It did take me a minute, but I got it.
You have to like learn it's kind of like the SAT, where it's like you have to kind of like learn the style of question. And it'd be like, oh, this is a hash map question. Oh, this is a matrix question. This is a bubble sort. Like, and then it's like once you kind of understand the types. And I studied for months before I even started interviewing because I was like, I know. And then like I interviewed with Google and I got through the technical interview process, but it was like 6 hours, and I was like, you just have to memorize and be able to nail all these questions. And you only have like 45 minutes to put it all together. And it is just awkward. But it's something where I learned the most important thing with those technical ones, or if you ever have one that's like, what do I do in person? While you're like, what do this while I watch, is you just got to always be talking. Like always be like every thought about, oh, and then now I'm going to do this. And then I'm thinking this. Because then sometimes the interviewer will be like, give you a little hint and nudge you in the right direction, because they're obviously sitting there with the answer. But as long as you're talking and they hear your thought process, you don't actually have to always nail the question.
Okay. All right. That's a good thing that's more of a technical
arts,
advice,
food, culture, career advice.
There you go. It's a good thing
what more can we ask for?
More technical advice, because if you told me to never stop talking during my interview, I would be full-time Dynasty Daddy YouTube helper. This is good. Hey, appreciate this. This is my wife told me this too. Numerical metrics as well. And on my resume, and then we'll move back to Dynasty. I know we got some live stream asks. My resume definitely was more of a list of tasks that like I do at my job, which is like not what you want to flex in your resume. Like you do want to flex the like 10% quarterly revenue bump from
like
upselling.
increased.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to be like, brought my boss coffee.
I did an interview with the Browns and they asked me to sing a song in the interview. Ooh, what would you sing? Wait, what did you sing? And Jeremy, what would you sing if you're interviewing with Dream Job and they asked you to sing a song?
I do all 9 minutes of Freebird with me also doing the guitar riff. And they would be but not
That's
with an
probably all
actual guitar, with my mouth.
I think that they probably just want to see you go for it. I think that this is a personality hire question. Like regardless of how good of a singer you are, it's the commitment.
I'll be like, how long do I have in the interview? How many more questions can I just sit there going, wow, wow, wow?
You know what you do?
Burn out the clock.
You do a duet and you ask the interviewer to do the other part. There you go. Bang.
Yeah, be baby, it's cold outside with the interviewer.
Jammer.
Don't go breaking my heart. Please respond to my email.
That's fine. That was the one that I thought of, and I didn't even think about. I didn't even want to say it out loud because I was like, do people even care about that song anymore? Don't go break. Hold me close. That's a jammer. Dang,
dude, I can't imagine you in the Browns interview being like, "Hold me closer, Tiny Dancer." Elton John has some good karaoke songs though.
I've had two. I used to be in choir. I've had two solos in my life. The Boys to Men in the Still of the Night. That was one of mine. I could whip that one out, but that might be a little bit odd because that's actually maybe it'll be less odd because it's a cappella song. All right, there we go. We got the culture out of the way. All right, we held out on wide receiver, ended up with Flowers, BTJ Pearsall, traded a first pick to move up. Gibbs, Taylor, Cook, Chase, Brown, and Hall. Gibbs, Taylor, Cook, Chase, Brown, and Hall. Dang. I mean, here's the nice thing about that running back room. You can very easily fix the wide receiver room cross-positionally. Like, there has to be a team that has a strong wide receiver room that would love.
I don't even think you have to do it cross-positionally. I mean, just like be like, hey, Pearsall, tear down to Mike Evans or something. Like,
yeah.
Like, I think you can pick up a couple of vets here. And
my only
wide receiver to me is
start five
just a bargain.
Like, there's some where it's like two running backs.
And, back up to, Kamani Vidal. I'm rolling out him and hoping that he gets 10 touches this game. You got Breece Hall. Like, that is a huge haul mid-season to actually trade a producing locked-in running back. And that's why I'm like, I would not want to try to make that move until people are like dying for actual running back production.
Yeah. All right, we do have a request next stream. You guys have to discuss marriage advice. Here's what I think we would need before that. I think we would need wife approval that we are qualified to give marriage advice. And I'm not sure if I would get some from mine. I don't want to speak for you, Jeremy. Do you think Becca would give you approval as an individual that could give marriage advice?
I mean, it depends on what the marriage advice is. I will say I've learned the power of car snacks. That is something.
Okay.
Sometimes we can get hangry. Always have a snack in the car.
Great.
It makes a road trip easier than me being like, I don't want to stop. Let's just go there. We have 30 minutes left, and she's like, I'm hungry. Or vice versa.
All right. Honestly,
the car snacks.
Good advice. I should. I'm not great on the car snacks, so I'm taking that to heart. No.
I wasn't either, and I bought a giant one of those orange crackers. Like the giant box is like orange peanut butter crackers.
Okay.
Because you don't want it to be too good. You don't want it to be like.
You
don't want to be like a jar of Pringles, because then like you're at home. I'm gonna go get the jar of Kingle. Yeah, like it's got to be something that's like not too good, but all right. It doesn't go bad, obviously.
Yeah.
They just stay in your car.
Okay, this should be the quickest, easiest. Just picking at this team that is insane. What's up, Mr. Sports? It's been a while since I asked a question, but I feel like I've hit a wall in my Dynasty league. The owners of Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson simply aren't willing to trade, so I don't see a realistic way to improve my starting lineup. This is a 10-team start 7. Super, super shallow, but the team is sick. At this point, I feel like I have more value in my roster than I can actually use. Would you start moving some of that depth for future draft picks to keep the team competitive over the long term, or would you hold the depth and wait for better opportunities? I personally, especially having 2 firsts in 27, like, I get it, you don't have any picks in 2028, but, dude, Bijan, Gibbs, Genty, Chase, Puka, CD, T-Mac, Rice, Marv, BTJ. What do you got? BTJ wide receiver 7? Marv wide receiver 6? Like, I get tight end room, like, of Gadsden, Mark Andrews likely doesn't feel excited. Like, I think the only thing you could potentially do is try to find a way to upgrade tight end. So like I know you said Trey McBride, Bowers aren't knocking. Like, what's the price to like make the Loveland bet on this team? Just because of the how insane your lineup is. But I don't know. Are you just not doing anything? Because I don't even know if I want to really sell the excess unless I can get a dream deal of like Marv for a first or something.
Yeah, I mean, I would be just looking to see, like, can I get Marv for a first? Like, a future first. I don't have a 28 first.
Yeah.
Like, that to me, I'm like, okay, like, let me at least... And even if you're like, I don't care about the 2028 class, like, what I do care about is having the flexibility of, oh, crap, player X gets injured. I can now use that first-round pick. After 2027, I don't have a pick to kind of be that plug-in, tier-up, tier-down piece that I would want. So that would be my move here is like, okay, let me get off of Marvin BTJ, because even if Marvin Harrison Jr. finally has the breakout that we've been waiting for, because he is the greatest Ohio State wide receiver we've ever seen. Mm-hmm. Okay, does he crack your starting lineup? Probably not. Maybe he's a flex on weeks that CeeDee Lamb has a bye. Like, I'm like the path for BTJ, Marv, even Rashid Rice to be starters on this roster is so low that if I can just kick that into the future, I would do that, especially in a 10-team league. Like, you're talking about getting one of those top 5 picks would be super valuable.
Yeah. And like 10-team on top of it, having future firsts for teams that are not your own I know the team name isn't this. Bust your ass. I mean, this league is, you are busting ass in this league. Like, what is even the number 2 starter ranked team looking like? It's a good team.
Amon-Ra, London, Nico. I mean, that is a good team because really all that matters is wide receiver, running back.
Yeah.
And they got that.
And too, like, I understand that you're like Josh Allen, Lamar, they're not budging, but like, man, I'll tell you what, if there was ever like a top 10 quarterback and I can't get up to the top guys that I'm excited about, it's Herbert. Is there any part of you that would want to, in a shallower league, find a way to stack? So like, obviously you have the Herbert Gadsden thing, but I'm thinking more of like the highest high-end outcome of, you are getting Burrow with your Chase or something. Or am I getting too cute?
I mean, I wouldn't mind. I mean, but I think that's kind of like...
I wouldn't go out of my way, but...
I think it's like rearranging the chairs on the Titanic. Like, your team's going to win or lose regardless. Like, I doubt it's going to make a difference. Like, it might make it, it might not. I think it matters more when you're playing in those massive best ball tournaments where you do need to have, like, the stars aligned to actually hit that outcome.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to, like, trade 80 cents on the dollar or tear down to just be like, well, now I got Joe Burrow. I do think, if I could be Herbert for Joe Burrow swap, maybe.
Yeah. All right, this guy's got Loveland on the taxi squad. This is a very weird team. I would just see what's happening with Sergeant Korea. He's got Loveland on the taxi still.
Oh, that was his name. I was like, what?
He's got JT, Javante. So it's like kind of like seems like Bio potentially would contend this season. Just see what's going on here. No firsts, 3 seconds though. Like that would probably be the only I'm trying to tier up move I would do with this team. Especially if you think the Bowers and McBride owners and the Allen Lamar guys are not But yeah, other than the wide receivers for firsts, I don't think there's anything I would like push to do with this team.
Yeah,
Especially
I
with
agree.
no tenant premium. Like, yeah, it would be nice to pay up for like the elite producer guys. Like I'm trying to go after Loveland, but at the end of the day, what's impacting your lineup the most, even in a super shallow league, is these guys smashing. All right, we do have Uno Mas, live stream ask. And then
Yes, I'll pull that one up. We do have a Sean question in the chat. Can we talk about how loaded the 2027 draft class looks? And there's a real chance the 2028 class could be even better. With NIL money giving players less incentives to leave early, more prospects may stay in school an extra year to improve their draft stock and enter the NFL draft with better draft capital. That could make the 2028 class absolutely loaded. Yeah, man, I've said this before, and I do think players that do have the eligibility to return, we're going to see a lot of them return. And now I don't know if we'll see high first round picks do that, but we did see Dante Moore do that, who probably would have been a top 5 pick in this draft class to return. And that might be I hate the Jets, I don't want to do that, but we do know he's going to get a lot of money. So I think when you're at those elite programs, you do have to factor in that the money of the NFL isn't necessarily the same as it was before, where it's like, oh, I can get in. I need to get in as early as I can. The biggest part is going to be the guaranteedness. Like, can I get to a point where I guarantee myself a certain money in multiple years? Because I don't think that's what colleges do yet. I don't think that's what enough. I maybe maybe pick up this bag of money in the corner, or whatever. But at least legally, I don't think there's multi-year. You're guaranteed to get $30 million a year from the University of Texas from coming back or something like that.
all right. Shout out to Red. I think we're gonna close on this puppy. What do we have? About 2.5. We've both hit a big yawn. But we will give you the energy of just started the stream.
The energy of quite the stream, honestly. This
YouTube?
might have been the most up and down. Like, not down, but just like,
yeah. What are you thinking about when I was whipping out the paint when I made
this is like the most Alice in Wonderland stream. I think we just like what in the world? Like, how did we end up here?
We're in July.
Taco Bell orders.
We're definitely
resume, interview advice, marriage advice.
No, we're in off-season form. But I'll tell you what, man. The minute we're a week away from the preseason, and I know that shouldn't change anything, but 1 week away from the preseason. Oh, don't get me started.
We're gonna be pulling up Microsoft Paint even more.
Oh yeah,
for more receivers.
I'll set up display captures for both of us so that we can both be analyzing and creating the will method, the will star method.
We'll have to do a like a blind draw the will value diagram for this player.
Yes, and
then we'll compare.
We'll see how close you are to the true brain, the humble genius breakdown.
The humble genius.
Just
Will's humble genius models went from an actual number to that chart.
Ooh, Jordan Love and Corum for T-Law. First thoughts of the trade. I do like Jordan Love. Like at cost, I bought Jordan Love in some leagues as like a cheaper quarterback that I'll make the bet on, but I like that.
Mm-hmm. I think that's great. You get the upside of Trevor Lawrence, who we saw put together solid weeks. I think Jordan Love is kind of stuck in that. And I mean, Purdy, Goff, always going to be kind of in that range.
And I was peaking a little bit. 6-point passing touchdown to like a little bit more of a boost to like perception of QB values. Some big completions, which I mean, I know Jordan Love definitely. I wonder how him and T-Law compare. I think they're probably pretty close, even though I think a lot of people would think about Jordan Love's big, Christian Watson, Tucker Kraft, big plays. But yeah, I like the T-Law side a lot. And then second, I took a hit to my already shallow RB depth through this trade. What strategy would you take from our RBEs? Try to buy some cheap depth like Aaron Jones or Monty, or just hold for now and see if Jonathan Brooks is startable by the time bye weeks come? Yeah, I think the worst thing you can do is build out your like depth in a room where you're not starting, especially when you don't have your own first next year. So like the minute you pull the trigger and you send the second for like insert running back here, you have no thirds or fourths next year, and there's a chance that that running back is not really impacting or mattering for your lineup, especially when you can play all these receivers. Like you only have to start 2 running backs, right? And you're
Yeah, I mean, one thing I will say, you're trying to be a contender. There's 2 teams. B Gibbling 84 has Christian McCaffrey on the 8th ranked team. So there's a potential opportunity there. They might be like, hey, I want to get off of that.
They have Michael Penix, Shador, Kirk Cousins QB room.
Yeah, the quarterback room is a crime. And then the team below it, pair A. Brees Hall, Barkley, Henry on a team that's a little bit more interesting. I could see them trying. I think this team has a little bit more upside.
Yeah,
but still, there's a lot of issues with this team. These are the teams I would be monitoring. Might not have to be something I do now, but maybe like week 4, see how they're feeling. Like, can I pry one of these older guys to bolster that room? Yeah, like I think that's kind of the fun part of the offseason.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna do like a cross positional thing, but
you send Olave for CMC?
I do kind of like the running back, wide receiver for a running back, and it's mostly to do with your depth. Like you're obviously starting CD, London, but like you can go all the way down to Christian Watson. I am higher on Wandale than most people. So I don't mind that type of deal if it is pure wide receiver for running back producer. But I think this is another one of those teams where it's like, dude, you're starting Genty and Hampton. Like I get you feel a little bit wonky about your running back depth, but dude, what if like come the time you would even want to start another running back, you know the Jonathan Brooks situation. Like you know what the split looks like come, the first bye week.
Yeah, like you don't necessarily need it. And there's teams out there too. Like the main reason I wanted to point at those teams is sometimes you go into a league, and you're like, okay, yeah, just go buy a running back with a second. But then you look at the actual running backs that are producing, and it's all consolidated with the top contenders. And it's like, okay, cool. This team that has Derrick Henry, not interested in a second round pick if they're the 3rd best team in the league. Like they are expecting Henry to be one of the key pieces of that team. What I see here is there's a lot of running backs not in consolidated teams, right? Like there's A-Chain, Travis A-Chain on the 7th worst team. There's Chuba Hubbard, probably a cheap, easy option, especially if the Brooks situation doesn't pan out. You can just be like, okay, I'm going to go trade for Hubbard. That to me is what I would be looking for. Is just like, okay, let me monitor these teams. Let me make sure that if they are at the point where they like, I do want to sell off a Henry or a Barkley, that I am the first one that's in that door, or at least in the conversations. You don't want to be hit with a trade's been completed and all the running backs got traded to, the Falcons, the Saints or whatever. Like one of those teams, and you're like, crap. Like I could have gotten it. Now, not only did I miss out on CMC, but CMC is going to one of my biggest competitors.
Yeah, and to like, especially with these strong contending teams, I talk about it a lot, and it's more of a general thing where I think the worst thing you can do is when you are lacking in like pick flexibility. Like, I mean, this is you have the I don't think it's as drastic as the 12th draft rank, but obviously you don't have your first, and then 2 fourths in 27. But like the minute you move that 27 second for David Montgomery or something, like there's a chance David Montgomery does not matter for your team at all this season, and then you are just praying, wishing that you can move David Montgomery for a second. Or when you don't have that second, like the Derrick Henry deal, like you talked about, whatever team has that running back, that situation comes up, You no longer are a team that has, oh, here's a wide receiver plus a second. Give me that smash running back. Like, you can't do that specific structure of a deal that somebody would want. I like some of these, like send Watson to the love owner. Like, there's some like wide receiver pivots you can do, especially when you're this deep. I wouldn't mind doing one of those. I do find it hard in most cases that potentially last week would be the last week of signups. So there's a chance. All right. Get in there if you haven't.
There's a chance
that come next stream, I'm going to tell you guys, last chance. This is like the pre-last chance. So get in there so that, something comes up, you can't make it to the Tuesday night stream. But I think we might end up closing signups next week, Wednesday, so we can get the leagues formulated, figured out mid-July, get the startups going before the start of the preseason. I'm pretty pumped, man. I have not been in a startup yet this offseason.
I haven't either.
I'm saving it for you guys. I'm saving myself for you. For the Dynasty Leagues.
Oh. I didn't know if we're at the marriage advice.
Going back to that. Yeah, actually speaking of saving yourself. We're gonna
off-season form, baby.
Heck yeah. All right, appreciate you all. Jeremy, actually, you know what? I feel like I need to give you, before I do the parting words, I am excited to go pee. But let's give the Dynasty Daddy site a nice little closeout it deserves. I know you added a couple things. Let me get this off the board. I know we have the help. Let's get this going.
Yes, I haven't officially announced it, but it's not hidden. But there is I'm working on building a kind of documentation hub for all features on Dynasty Daddy. I think an important thing, like a lot of these are like, here's how you use a tool. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But I want to also add in things like, I get a lot of questions about starter value. I get a lot of questions about the tiers. I want to have a place where when people ask me a question, I can ideally point them to the website. I can be like, here's a link. It provides you all the information. And then it also helps me say, hey, if it's not on there, like if someone asks me a question that's not in here, I'll update it and continue to add to it. So eventually, whether people are asking me directly or indirectly, I can make sure that all the questions are there. People know what to look for. You can search it you can also search on so if you're like, I'm really interested in a certain tier or whatever, you can search in there and it will filter out what pages are relevant. And that also works on the search bar on the normal site as well. So you might be like power rankings and it'll pull up the power rankings page, but also documentation that you might want to be able to dive into, understand how this tool works a little bit more. So I'm going to continue to be building out those things. It's not the sexiest thing, but I know it's something I was like, I probably should do. Just provide kind of a glossary of all things about the site. And something I know Will doesn't know yet.
There's a lot of things Will doesn't know, but go on.
But I added in yesterday. If you click on, you have a Dynasty Daddy account and you have your leagues linked, if you click on Connect Leagues to like manage your leagues, you can now change the order of the leagues.
Ooh.
And like how they're saved. So if you will have certain leagues that you care about more, you want to order them a certain way, you can drag and drop them.
The frauds to the bottom, so you don't have to look at them. Yeah,
you can organize your teams in a way. I know someone in the Discord, I rarely check. Put those at the bottom. Don't have to, clutter up the ones I need to be managing and more active on.
Yeah, I have one free league, and shout out to my free league. I am in no league that I am in is as active as the league with a $0 buy-in, and it is a blessing and a curse. I feel so bad.
I hate when I'm like, I have to like DM people for a league that I'm like, if I win, I get nothing. Like, why am I doing this?
The best part about it though is sometimes you'll get a trade offer and you like kind of sit on it and you like really are looking at it. You're like, I'll look at this later, whatever. I never do that. Right there, I am like pure.
Yeah.
What's in my heart of hearts? F it, let's go. I
Yeah,
I
you
traded
have to, like,
Dak for
sit
T
on it.
Higgins. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. My team's kind of sick in that league, but
And I will say too, I announced this last week before 4th of July, but if you send out a trade in bulk trades, or not even in the bulk trade tool, but if you just send out like a third for Alvin Kamara to a bunch of teams, it can kind of clutter up your trade proposed view. It'd be like, here's this player for third, like 8 times. So now I also added in stacking. So if you send out, Alvin Kamara for a third to 8 teams, instead of showing all 8 offers, since they're all the same offer, it stacks them all together into like a pile. Then you can click it to expand and see them all, but it will keep all your offers decluttered if you have a lot of those, like, bulk trade tool style offers kind of sitting out there.
yeah, beautiful. Thank you. All right.
But that's kind of all I got so far.
And too on
I've
the
been
help
dabbling
center,
a little bit with the draft tool.
and I
Yeah,
think this is somewhere else too. But like the what's new, like getting these updates. If you're not in the Discord, which you should be, is nice too. Because Jeremy always has this kind of breakdown, and most of the time it comes with a little video, giving you a nice little demo.
I've been trying to do that more. I was like, I need to do a little video demo, get people engaged. I used to just do screenshots. Now we're leveling up the videos.
Heck yeah, we're all about leveling up here. The Dynasty Daddy. Great show. See you next Tuesday. And actually, no, see you earlier. Link in the description. Join the Discord if you're not in there. Join a Daddy League. Fill out the Google form to get on the sign-up sheet, and we will be coordinating those starting Wednesday next week. That'll be when we'll soft close the lineups or signups. Any other parting words before I hit the outro button?
Nope. Nothing really. I will say next week I will be using up my Dynasty Daddy PTO.
It was
So
approved.
we'll have a Will solo stream, or maybe a guest. We'll have to see what Will comes up with. Maybe it's just MS Paint the whole time.
Maybe. Just drawing pictures. Nothing to do with fantasy football. I'm just kind of doing some trees, doing something. Yeah, I can do that.
More a Brandon Ayuk chart.
Oh, reconnection successful. Nice. All right, peace out for real.
We're back. Another 2.5 hours. Let's go.